Punker Mike. Welcome to Punks for Progress Weekly What the Fuck Report. It's my partner, Reverend Aaron. How you doing, partner?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm all right, man.
I'm not. Look, I don't want to spend any time on it except to say, fucking great that John McCain died. Less people will die as a result of his passing.
And I do not have a problem debating liberals about this. And I've had to do it. I'm like, where you come? You're so angry. I'm pointing out the truth. Oh, he was a great statesman and a wonderful father. Didn't his daughter talk shit?
I mean, he took away rights from so many different marginalized communities. He voted constantly against women's rights. He voted against LGBTQ rights and immigrants' rights. And, he was one of the first people talking about building a wall. And
he called anti-war protesters scum.
That's right. So, no, I'm not going to remember him as some great statesman. All he has ever been, dude, is like an opportunist who would find these moments in the political sphere where he could, vote against his party and be all mavericky. And then everyone would go, look at all
mavericky. I know, huh?
Mavericky. And then,
bro, 83% of the time.
Right, 83% of the time he votes with the president, though. And, the whole shit show about Trump didn't go to his funeral, that doesn't make McCain great because Trump doesn't like him. Give me a fucking break.
Oh my god. Yeah, so anyway, that's our feelings on John McCain.
Yeah, and then so just for the record, this is a Swing and Utters track, and I don't know necessarily that they endorse our take on John McCain, but this is off their fucking brand new album, and it's really, really good. So check it out. That was Swing and Utters. Yes, I hope he dies. And we at Punks for Progress send it out to the memory of John McCain. And we have a full show, though, today.
Yeah, what's all this all about now, huh?
Yeah, so we're going to talk a lot about Labor Day, because today, as we're recording this, is Labor Day. And I went up to the Labor Day parade in Virginia City. There was a fantastic showing of labor in Virginia City. And for some reason, Virginia City likes to hold Civil War days on Labor Day. So there were Civil War reenactors. So I exchanged a few words with them, and these people who they straight up said that the Confederate flag had nothing to do with racism and that the Civil War was not about slavery. So
you were talking to some real smart people then, yeah?
Real smart educated
Packlands, more Packlands.
So I got a little video of that, and we're going to tease you a little bit of it, but I'm actually going to put together a full-length video that kind of really gives you Virginia City itself has a very rich history with Labor Day. So
really interesting.
So I'm going to put together a full video, so watch for that in the next few days on Punks for Progress. But we are also going to be, this week in fascism, evangelicals, right? Or this week in theocratic fascism.
Right.
We're going to talk I can't believe we're actually going to talk about it because there's, for some reason, it stays a controversy, but left versus right violence and who's the more violent. Because
are we really going to talk about this? We're really seriously going to talk about this.
Yeah, apparently this is a controversial subject somehow. So we're going to get into that, and then it's going to tie very nicely into all the Nazis that are in the straight up white supremacists and white nationalists that are in the Trump administration and that are currently running for office and all this kind of stuff.
Now you straight up called them Nazis.
Yeah, well, I probably slipped. Some of them are okay. Nazis, but most of them are just straight up racist and bigots and white nationalists. Okay.
Yeah, definitely that.
Yeah. And there's so straight up racism. That doesn't necessarily make you a Nazi. So thank you for making that distinction, Mike.
Well, I got called out on it myself, so.
No, it's important. It's an important distinction to make. But so we're gonna be talking about that, and then we're also going to be talking about this Brett Kavanaugh character.
Oh my God! Shoot me in the fucking foot right now, dude! I swear to God, you're gonna piss me off. This is pissing me off already, and we're not even talking about it.
And we have a motherfucking So-Cal Shannon Scene Report. We also have a report from Radd Kahn on what's going on with the Brazilian election. And
Rad boy.
And we have there wasn't a hurricane. Well, there was a hurricane, but it didn't destroy you, and we're going to talk about that.
No, it didn't destroy me. Yeah. Amazing.
So
boy, a lot of hype, bro. A lot of hype, but
a lot of hype. And,
apparently, it got its freaking top sheared off.
So we're going to hear not just about what the hurricane itself, but kind of the way the Islanders reacted to it and the locals reacted to it and all that kind of stuff.
the way North Shore comes out of a hurricane.
Right. And so now we're going to play a video from the Shook-Ups, which is a video I put together of an old band I was in for a little while. I have to be honest, I'm actually not on this recording. They recorded this before I joined the band on bass, and for the Reno Where Dreams Come to Die comp.
Look at you all getting real.
And but I was in the band for about a year right at the end of the Shook-Ups existence, and you'll see some live footage spliced in from one of the times we played at my old basement. And but it's just a fucking cool track. It's real like trashy garage stuff, but with a little bit of kind of old Misfits creepiness thrown in. So let's play that, and we'll play some other stuff, and then we'll come back and run our mouths about some shit. What do you think?
That's what we know. Isn't that what we always do?
I think pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So cool, the Shook-Ups.
When the boss's sanguination through the city streets does run, there can be no power greater than the barrel of a gun. And when the bourgeoisie protests expropriate their tongue, for the black bloc makes us strong. Solidarity forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, for the black bloc makes us strong. The fist to give their coal a bite. The pigs work for the bosses, so get strapped in for a fight. For the black bloc makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the black bloc makes us strong. It's we who run the weapons plants and fight the wars they wage, and who work consumer hotlines from the inside of a cage. It's we who sweep the stock exchange where it's our lives they trade, but the black bloc makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the black bloc makes us strong. All the world of pigs patrol is ours and ours alone. All their needs have the authority of workers crushing bone. But when their city hall explodes, it's we who own that drone. For the black bloc makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the black bloc makes us strong. Their dollars are our labor. When we overwork, they earn. But without our brain and muscle, there's no treatment for a burn. No one to put out mansion fires where charring bodies turn. For the black bloc makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the black bloc makes us strong. They come pollute our neighborhoods and privatize the grass. They exploit our race and gender to divide the working class. Because they know united that we'd rise to kick their ass. But the black bloc makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the black bloc makes us strong. They racketeer, enslave, and murder, gas us while we grieve. They cut off our public services and raise rent till we leave. So we'll burn every yogurt shop until the pigs believe that the black bloc makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the black bloc makes us strong. We're told of all the progress that democracy has made, but the myth of meritocracy don't match what we get paid. There's no hope in a ballot box, but on a barricade. For the black bloc makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the black bloc makes us strong. If you protest a pay cut, then you're fired on the spot. Then they throw you in a jail cell when you sell all that you've got. So all sex workers take up arms and take the money shot. For the black bloc makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the black bloc makes us strong. We're told that job security will come to us with time, while our kin retire homeless at the age of 89. With theft and solidarity, it's our assembly line, but the black bloc makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the black bloc makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the black bloc makes us strong.
So, while the black bloc is most assuredly one of the things that makes us strong, the original lyrics are, it's the union that makes us strong. And this is still true. And it's Labor Day, right, bro?
Yeah,
the
of
union
course.
makes us strong. I mean, labor is what keeps everything moving along and happening and working and building and fixed and, you know.
Yeah. and economy and every other thing, and unions are what brought us, the 5-day work week, and
it's up to the WAPs.
Right.
And ended child labor, or and
right. Pay for overtime.
Now listen, one of the speakers at the Virginia City Labor Day march or parade that I went to today mentioned that I'm going to research this more for my full-length video, but he said from the mic that the Labor Day parade history and the Labor Day itself began in Virginia City. So according to one of these speakers from the Virginia City Historical Society, I think is where he was from, but he said that the United union, the Mine Workers Union, that's what it was, the Mine Workers Union, organized and held a parade on this date back in, I think he said 1904 or 1908, and then in the aftermath of it, lobbied to have it declared a national holiday. So, like I said, I'm just going on what this guy said from the mic at the march, and he wasn't part of the actual Labor Day parade. So, like, all the labor met at one side of Virginia City and then marched to the other end, and the Virginia City people were already down at that end, right? So this was one of the Virginia City people making this statement. So, and the reason I'm questioning it is because the Virginia City has a lot of pro-South apologetic Civil War reenactor people that claim to be historians, and we're going to get into that here in a little bit. But I'd like to play a little bit of this video from the national vice president of the AFL-CIO.
Yeah. I was going to ask why Virginia City doesn't seem like a place where you'd have a march. You know what I mean? Most of your actions seem to take place like downtown Reno.
But it's
right.
But listen, it's not a march.
That's why I was.
But Michael, it's not a march. It is a parade. It's a Labor Day parade. And so there were all kinds of like.
Well, I was just curious to know why Virginia City. So I mean, maybe this guy has some. Maybe there is some truth to it.
I'm thinking there is, and that's why I'm really interested in looking more into it. So like I said, I will look into this more, and it'll be in the video that I post in the next few days about it. And
sweet.
And more in depth. We're going to show a little hints of it. I just got to tease it after we listen to this amazing organizer here.
Such a tease.
We'll get into the debates I had with some of these Civil War reenactors, but let's check this out.
Check it out.
I am so honored and I am so proud to have one of the executive officers from the National AFL-CIO here. You guys, this is a huge honor, folks. So, I want you all to give it up. I will tell you, he is the executive vice president of the AFL-CIO, but Jafari is one of us. He actually was a leader with the Central Labor Council, and I'll tell you what, he was badass as a leader. He's still badass. So with that said, I would like to introduce to you all the Executive Vice President of the AFL-CIO, Jafari Gabre.
Good morning. I am really, really honored that you guys invited me to be here with you. You look really absolutely beautiful today. So, a lot of people think Labor Day today is about getting a discount on 4 sets of tires or getting a discount on mattresses. And that is okay for working people. But today is our day, like Liz said. Today is about us. Today is about people who make this country run. Today is about people who make our roads, who heal us at hospitals, who grow the food and feed us. Today is about our public safety, firefighters and cops, who protect us from dangers. Today is about the teachers who educate our children. Today is about the dedicated public servants who work for our government every day and make our country work. Brothers and sisters, today should also be a declaration day for American workers. We are saying enough is enough. So I'm not going to be too long because we have to march. But I traveled from Washington, D.C. here, so I have some things I have to get out of my chest. So I'm going to say those things. You know, politicians in Washington, D.C., from the White House to Congress, decided to give over $1 trillion in tax cuts to billionaires when workers are suffering. We have a president in a White House who promised the sky to workers. He said he was going to stand up and fight for workers. Yeah, right. He said the system was not fair. He said he was going to drain the swamp. What we got is more swamp.
That's right.
Brothers and sisters, this administration is getting our regulations that keep workers safe at the workplace. They are getting rid of collective bargaining rights for federal employees. And for those of you in the construction industry and construction workers, where is that pledge to spend trillions of dollars in our infrastructure? It's nowhere to be found. So today, America's workers are demanding and declaring our independence from any political party, but we're going to hold every elected official accountable. Accountable not to me, not to Stronka, not to Lushuler, or not any national labor leader, but to working man and woman in this country. I also want to bring you good news today. Our country has never been ready for us. In our survey and independent polls, 72% of millennials say they want to be in a union if they get a chance. 60+% of workers in this country are saying they would like to be in a union if they get the opportunity. But here's the problem. The system is rigged. It is not as easy as people make it to actually join a union. Still, corporations spend millions and millions of dollars to stop workers from having a voice at the workplace. So this election, I'm asking you, Nevada, we need to rededicate ourselves to reclaim our country back, to reclaim our workplaces back, to reclaim our freedom back. And in order for that to happen, brothers and sisters, it's going to take a little bit more than showing up at the parade. This is a great crowd. Now imagine if this crowd, every week from now to election day, shows to the Labor Council and decides to pick up a precinct and decides to go walk a precinct and talk to other workers and tell them what's at stake. I guarantee you, we will win. So I'm asking you this. If you're planning to call 30 people for this election cycle, make it 300. If you're planning to walk 10 precincts, make it 100. If you're planning to knock on 100 doors, make it 1,000. That is what is required for us to win in this November. When we do that, brothers and sisters, no corporation, no politician, no Supreme Court is going to stop working people from getting what we deserve to get. Thank you so much for having me, and let's go play. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Safari.
Okay, I like that guy. I definitely agree with him. And, you know, if you believed, like what he was saying, you know, how Chitolini got up there during the during the election, and was like, "Oh, all for the working man," and all this
coal, and we bring back coal jobs, and
yeah, he lies as much as my ex-wife. So I mean, if you believe that, I mean, seriously, he was never for the working man.
Never gave
He's always been for the rich oligarchs.
That's right.
Which he is almost, not quite, but close to being one.
And he's got a long history of hiring the cheapest labor and then often fucking them over on their... Yeah, exactly. Not paying them.
Exactly. He doesn't... contractors, he'll say, "Oh, they did shitty work," and then he doesn't pay them. Yeah, and I've got, what did Mitt Romney call it? A notebook full of stories of contractors that he's fucked over. So
right.
That's what he does.
Yeah, it was really great to see such a huge turnout of labor recognizing that. Right? You didn't hear people going, "Oh, shut up." They were like, "Yeah." No, this was. I mean, he talked about it. He kind of prepped him. You know what I mean? It was like, it's this day is for the hospital workers. This day is for the firefighters. We are the people that make the country run. Yeah. We get off our ass every morning and go out there and we work and do something, and we are productive members of society, to quote a term. But I mean, we're actually what runs this country, not the fucking orange asshole sitting in the White House telling people what to do and signing executive orders left and right, thinking he's God. So I was before the parade began, I was talking to some of the old WAPs that were there, and one of them was telling me that the first time he went to a Labor Day parade in Virginia City, there was him and a couple other people and all the Civil War reenactors and police and military, and that's who was in the Labor Day parade, and that it was Civil War Day stuff. So it's really confused.
What the fuck does Civil War have to do with labor?
Right. I mean I just found it odd that that's who led the Labor Day march, was Civil War reenactors with actually let's get into it. So before the parade really began, I walked up to these Civil War reenactors because I was willing to give them the benefit of the doubt that they were just genuine. They're going to play the side of the South because they're going to do some Civil War reenactment thing. But I wanted to find out if they were apologists. And as it turns out, fucking straight up, they totally were. And so let's play this first little clip, Mike. I walked up and I just basically gave them the, hey, we can all agree it's good the South, that the Confederacy lost because racism and owning people sucks, right? And you'll see what they said. So play that real quick, and then when we got more, but come back and we'll talk about this strange, really, it's like a strange juxtaposition of this amazing turnout of labor.
Well, what kind of a disconnect is it? I don't get it. I mean,
right.
Maybe it was because, to me, it's a polar opposite. You've got labor on one side, and you've got oligarchy on the other side, and fascism. And the Civil War.
Listen. You don't have listen.
I'm using the wrong words too.
Yes, especially for this particular. That is true in the bigger picture.
Well, I was trying to get it. I was trying to get it down to and then we have these supporters of racism who have completely disconnected from the fact that the Civil War was about racism, apparently, because we weren't taught that in public schools. We were totally whitewashed, completely whitewashed. And using the proper term that time, the right word, because that's exactly what it was. The Civil War was about racism. If you do your history and you have something other than public education, you know that's exactly what it was. This was about landowners in the South that wanted their freaking slaves. That's exactly what it was.
And if people wanted to do Civil War reenactments and acknowledge that, I would have absolutely no issue with that.
Right. Hey, we lost and we were wrong, and it is wrong to keep humans as slaves. But we want to represent that and show that this is the wrong. Wrong.
But let's see what they actually said about it. Let's check it out.
Let's do it.
So we can agree it's good those racist, traitor, treasonous bigots lost, though, right? You can at least agree on that, correct? Okay, good. Because owning people and being a racist sucks, right? Okay, good, because that's what that flag on your truck represents. Yep. Yeah. Why don't you rewrite history and what the Civil War was about? Yeah, rewrite history, guys. So the Confederate flag is not a racist symbol.
Never has been.
Oh, so see, that's called rewriting history. Yes, there sure was. Yes, there sure was. And you know what? People in Africa enslaved people too. Doesn't make what the Confederacy did right or just or not racist. Celebrating a disgusting heritage of traitorous racists. Bravo. Here come the true Americans. Labor. This is the true Americans over here, man. Labor. Labor is the true American. That's the righteousness of America. Right there. That's the righteousness of America. Not a bunch of racist traitors. Bunch of racist, treasonous traitors. Yeah. Celebrate it, guys. Celebrate it. Here comes what America's actually all about.
I don't see any tutus.
Yeah, America's about tutus. Whatever, you bigot.
Okay, yeah. Now, see, you started out. You kind of trolled him, though. You were like, "We can agree, yeah, we can agree that we're glad they lost." You could have left it there, but you know, racism is bad, and you took it a little farther than I would have. You have a little bigger balls than I do when it comes to that, but and then you doubled back around and went and hit him back again, and you know, they were still not very happy about it. But dude, I mean, and what kind of a Confederate flag was that? Was that like two
It's like two guns.
Rifles or something? Yeah, crossed in.
Yeah.
Wow, hardcore.
But you know, you hear the guy say, you know, that they're saying that it wasn't about racism and it's not a racist symbol, and you know, and then that old guy, you can't really hear what he said that well, but he's trying to come at me with, you know, this person owned slaves or that person owned slaves, you know, trying to come at me with the Republican versus Democrat divide thing, and who.
So
you know,
two wrongs make a right.
Right. And so I think I clearly made that point, right? That like, okay, well, that doesn't make this glorifying this Confederate flag or acting like it doesn't represent what it does. Okay. You know, like, yes, other people in the world have owned slaves before, and that was fucking horrible. But you're acting like this is not a symbol of owning people, and that's a problem. And you're doing it as you parade down the streets of one of my communities, telling people that this is a historic, that you're historic reenactors, when you're not. First and foremost, you know, there was not a Civil War battle in Virginia City. You know. And
yeah, right.
Also, the reason we became a state was to join with the North, to you know, to sign in to ratify the 13th and 14th Amendment and all that shit, to fight against the South, and that's why we're called battle-born. The North needed more votes and more territory to get involved in it, so Nevada said, fuck yeah, we'll join. We were originally a Utah territory. There's a huge Mormon history here, Mike. You would love it.
Oh, yeah, I know. Well, the Mormons pissed off the United States government, so they weren't too thrilled with giving them as much, you know, land as they originally wanted, so...
Right, so Nevada, that's our history. That's why our state motto is Battle Born. It says Battle Born on our flag because we became a state to fight against the Confederacy. You know, so I kind of called them out on that a little bit. Why don't we play this second little clip here?
Really? Like, do you think these people are gonna fucking know Battle Born, what it really means?
I would think they are. They're fucking, like, apparently they think they're historians.
Okay, I'll give you that. Let's check it out.
Yeah.
with the support arms to...
Confederate flag in the battle-born state. State that became a state to fight against that flag. It's a total disgrace. Yeah.
It didn't become a state.
Yeah, bullshit. That's what battle-born means. That's what don't talk to me about your rewrites of history. Sporting a Confederate flag, talking about it ain't racist. Give me a break. In a battle-born state. Good. I support my right to tell you what a disgusting racist symbol it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Then what was the Civil War about? Oh, it sure wasn't, was it? Yeah, it had nothing to do with it, did it? Nice rewrite.
How did you know?
How did I know? Were you there? Because you're wearing a dress, you think you can rewrite history? Give me a break. No, I know history. You're trying to deny that slavery was a part of the Civil War. What the serious hell is wrong with you?
Thank you.
We deny that bigotry happened in America. We deny that the Civil War was about slavery. Ha 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 ha.
You are interrupting everyone's...
Oh, get over it. It's America.
Absolutely.
I am home. And I'm a clamper too. Satisfactory. Damn right. Sorry, I'm more of an anarchist. I am a clamper. Chapter 8. Yeah. You sure? Bigot.
Wow, dude. More pack lids. That lady was just... No, it's not. No, it's not. Like, you know your history. No, dude, you don't know your history. And, yeah, they just... Like I said, man, whitewashed.
Yeah.
They're still whitewashing it. It's like, no. Seriously. That is... And your tactic's not going to work to get them to see that, but, I mean, whatever.
Right.
I'm okay with it. But it's like...
Right.
Dude, you really don't, understand what the fuck you're doing.
Right.
This is exactly why we had the Civil War. And what you're doing is promoting racism.
Yeah.
Slavery. You're promoting slavery.
And
they won't believe it. Cognitive dissonance.
totally.
Cognitive disconnect.
And that's why, like, no, I do not believe that my trolling these people is ever going to get them, and I'm not going to be able to have a honest or a real, like, sit-down conversation with them about it. I'm never going to convince these people that the Civil War was fought over slavery. They've decided that. But I just think it's useful to show other people, like, hey, wake up. This is a lot of America. The people that think this is not the South. This is Nevada. I'm just curious, like, at what point, if this is true about what I said earlier in the show about how city, at what point did that become Civil War days? When did that transition happen?
That's what I'm saying, man. I don't know where the fuck that came from. How did like I say, are you just trying to... I don't know. Is it some way to disrupt a labor parade or a labor celebration?
No. So I want to make it very, very clear that there was no animosity whatsoever between the various unions and all the people in the, from the union side of the parade with any of the people in the from the Virginia City sort of local contingency. Because that's another thing about Virginia City, dude. You have to understand is people walk around dressed like it's the 1800s and early 1900s in Virginia City all the time. You can go there Monday through Friday, or 7 days a week. And there's people there. It's such an amazing place. It's one of my most favorite places in the world, honestly. And again, I would like people to watch the long form video I do, because I'm going to do a lot of really cool history stuff about. And there's a really cool old rock and roll history with Virginia City too. But so that stuff's common, where there's people in those dresses and all, and all this stuff. And But again, why Civil War? Mark Twain did a lot of his writing in Virginia City. Mark Twain was not some fucking pro-South dude, and like, that's not the original history of and you know what? I want to play this last clip, Mike, because I again confronted some people on it. So they come out and they do this big kind of thing. It's actually a really cool kind of show. They come out in the street and they kind of do this one. Everyone shoots in the air at the same time, and then the woman speaker, she's on the truck with a microphone. She's talking about how Nevada has such a rich history as a state. We became a state as part of the Civil War. And someone goes, yeah, Battle Born. She's like, yeah. And I'm like, Battle Born against the South. And she goes, yeah, Battle Born against everything is what she said. And I said, no, Battle Born against the South. And she's like, you have a problem. You have a problem. I'm like, no, that's factual history. So these are people who are representing what the Virginia City Historical Society, telling a crowd of people with all their families and all their children that Battle Born meant against everything, that it wasn't about Battle Born against the South. So check it out, Mike. Let's show it to him, because I'm not just talking out my ass. This happened.
All right, yeah, that's it.
I'm so sorry.
Dude, what are you tripping over people?
Yeah, I totally gave her the flat tire. You can't see her in the video. She was really small, but yeah.
Dangerous job you could do because you didn't have a weapon. They had to protect you.
Cool old western town, huh?
Oh, I love Virginia City. I don't understand what that's about, though. Still don't get it. But I mean, there's always like gunfights in the street and guys walking around with their donkeys as old miners and stuff. You can always see that stuff. It's a really, really wonderful, fun place to go to. But Civil War, I don't.
And Labor Day?
Okay, well, check this guy out. He seems like a nice enough old guy, but
Good thing those racist traders lost, right? Right? Treasonous Confederate scumbags and racists. Good thing they lost.
You look confused, huh? Oh, Teddy Roosevelt was around at that time, yeah?
I don't think he was.
With a Confederate flag around him. And he have a Texas thing on his wrist? Texas flag, what?
Well, this is a great show. It's not actually a reenactment because this absolutely never happened in Virginia City. Civil War days. Wonder what Mark Twain would think of the glorification of the South in Virginia City.
Hey, you don't want to get me close enough.
Wait, I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille.
Okay. Come on forward, folks.
Did a battle like this ever happen in Virginia City?
No.
Right here on this street?
I don't know.
Yeah, interesting.
Particulars of what had happened on the street.
Never made it to Nevada.
Yeah, there was never a Civil War battle in Virginia City.
No, there were skirmishes.
This is historical fiction. When it's up here. So it's a chance to learn about it. Well, he was
From the perspective of people who are pro-South, though, it's weird. It's more like a rewrite of history, kind of.
It goes back and forth. They all
I just had conversations with half of these people, and they told me that the Civil War was not about slavery.
that was an issue, but even
Right,
for
right.
a number of the Northern
Oh, okay. Okay, it's about corporations. I understand. I don't need you. I don't listen. I know a lot more about it than you obviously do because you're making apologies for it. So you really don't understand history. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate your help.
So,
obviously publicly educated.
well, I mean, and she was just dressed kind of normal. So when I reached out to her, I'm like, hey, these people, they just told me that the Civil War wasn't about slavery. I thought I might be appealing to an intelligent person who understood history. And then she comes up, not with the exact same whitewash, but, okay. So she was willing to say, slavery was at least part of something
Yeah, it
to
was
do
an
with
issue.
the Civil War. Right.
Nice
Oh,
running
here we
job, sir. Sergeant.
You know, one of the things that is cool, again, like when you go there and you'll see people dressed as miners or old, you know, Victorian people and stuff, and they're all really happy to like take pictures and stuff with you. It's not all usually Civil War people like this, but there's a lot of women that come out in those really amazing, cool old dresses and stuff, and you can take pictures, and they're totally cool with it. And they have full societies where that's what they do, man. They come out and it's a living museum. That's the way they sort of, promote themselves in Virginia City.
They took those cartridges and they tore them off with their teeth at the end of a battle, their whole mouth. And
I'm still missing the connection between Civil War days and the Labor Day.
Yeah, right.
Ladies and gentlemen, we all do this for the love of history, okay? We're an educational organization, and we really enjoy what we do, and we really appreciate you enjoying it, okay? Nevada has a strong history with the United States and with the Civil War because we became a state during the Civil War.
That's right.
West Virginia loves to say it was the only state that was invented during the Civil War, but that's not true. Nevada was right in there.
Battle born against the South.
That's right. Battle born
against the South.
Everything.
Against the
sir,
South.
You have a real problem.
Yeah, except that's reality in history.
Let's go.
Here we go.
Woo, give a big hand.
Men and their penis extensions. I got a question. I didn't realize that states were invented.
Oh, did you catch that though, man?
It's an educational society.
Right. The Historic Society just, listen, that's what Battleborn is. I'm not like making stuff up out of my ass. That's why we became a state, and that's why our state model is Battleborn, because we were Battleborn against the South. She said Battleborn against everything.
Right. It's the same as All Lives Matter.
Yeah, all lives matter.
It whitewashes it.
And when I first showed you this video, you mentioned how like the way they were sort of the way the Southerners or the South are portrayed as sort of the ragtag fleet, and against the rich, upstanding oppressors of the North, right?
Yeah, right. Uh-huh.
And that's the same thing, and it's it's like they're trying to rewrite it as these were all just good American family men who went through this weird conflict for a minute, but there was good people on both sides.
Right, good people on both sides. Right, not like wealthy landowners that wanted fucking slaves, and people that had a conscience that realized that what they were that was wrong.
Right. Because Labor Day. And what?
Maybe because slaves were their labor back then. I mean, the country was built on slave labor.
That's true. That is true. But I would be curious to find out like why they chose this. What date is this significant?
Well, especially if it was
the Civil War,
right? Why this? Why all of a sudden do we have to throw this Civil War days thing into it? I mean, interesting.
Yeah. But let's get into now. I think we kind of covered it, and again, I'll keep an eye out on our channel, and I'll put up the new, the full Virginia City Civil War versus Labor.
It's such a tease.
I know, and I'll do a little more research on a lot of this stuff that we weren't too certain about as we were talking about it tonight.
Well, did this just happen today?
Right.
Okay, so.
Yes, exactly. And but we should get into This Week in Theocratic Fascism. What do you think?
Why not?
Excellent.
It's another week, isn't it?
It's another week, and there's still theocratic fascism happening. Okay, so we have to do a correction. Recently, on one of our What the Fuck reports, we talked a lot about this QAnon thing, right, Mike?
Yeah. What the fuck?
And we made the claim, we thought, on good authority and from well-researched information that QAnon was a big, huge, giant load of bullshit. And as it turns out,
yeah.
So as it turns out, we were wrong.
What?
Yep, we were wrong, and
Get the fuck out.
We were wrong, and the proof is God has revealed in a dream to a righteous man that QAnon is in fact a legitimate source of information from within the deep state.
Oh God.
So I'm very sorry to our followers, but this is from God, people, and so here, God. Michael, why don't you just play it?
Oh my God.
QAnon has been confirmed.
So God has been speaking to me in dreams for about 8 years, and I have a long history of God revealing to me things about the future in dreams. And I've come to rely heavily on the revelation that I receive from God in dreams. It's proven to be pretty darn accurate as long as I interpret it correctly. So God started speaking to me about Q in dreams in December. I had a dream where a guy who looked just like James, Real Person Politics, he showed up in this dream, and he was asking me questions, and he was straightening out my understanding of things from the past. That was how he started out. We were sitting in a room talking, and he was asking me about my perception of the past and of events. And I had all kinds of wrong understandings of what things were like in the past. He was correcting my wrong understanding. Then we got up and we started walking, and he was asking me questions like, you remember this person and you remember that person? And you recall this event. How are those two people related to this event? And then he went on, do you remember this person and that person and this event? Okay, how are they related? Why is that relevant? And as he was talking to me, I was like, dang, he sounds just like you. At that point, I was like, I had heard this over and over again. Why is this relevant? Who are these people? How's this connected, right? So at the end of the dream, this guy turned to me and he said, do you understand that this is primarily about the children? That was the end of the dream.
Wow.
Now, since then, I've probably had well over 75 or 80 dreams about Q.
Wow.
Including a couple over the last couple of nights that are very interesting. They have to do with, I think, people that are going to be arrested pretty soon. That Q has been alluding to arrests coming. And so once God spoke to me about Q, I was like, okay, if this is primarily about the children, saving children that are being trafficked, I knew what that was about. I had looked into the Clinton Foundation a couple of years ago, and I kind of knew what was going on in Haiti. I knew about that. So when in the dream, the reference came up, do you understand this is most primarily about the children? I was like, oh gosh. Okay, well, I can't say no to that. So, right. In for a penny, in for a pound. I decided to go all in on Q.
Okay, so obviously it's true because God gave him a dream, and he's all in now because God said he should.
Right. And you know what's really fantastic about the Lord is how all the things that he revealed it to him in his dream were the things that he had been obsessing on already. It's such a coincidence that had shown up in his dreams. I don't doubt for a second that fucking dude had that dream.
Well, and all he has to do is interpret it the right way. And seriously, fucking really, how many dreams does this dude have? He must not be sleeping very well, bro, because I don't dream that much. I swear to God, the only time I dream is first thing in the morning when I'm kind of half awake, and I can remember what the hell I'm dreaming, because I'm tired, bro.
Yeah, it's because you're not right with God, so you're not being spoken to about QAnon in your dreams. But literally, but seriously, bro, if you listen, a lot of the things he's like, I was doing all this studying, I was spending all this hours researching this thing, and then God revealed it to me in dreams. It's like, no, dude, a lot of times people, when you obsess on certain things and you think about them a lot and you give them a lot of your attention, it shows up in your dreams.
Can I stop you right there? Because I will speak to this. I had a dream Saturday night about tickets at Teddy's. I was interpreting tickets at Teddy's because I had worked 2 days straight and Saturday was freaking busy. And I that's the one little thing I remember is like some stupid little dream. I woke up and I was dreaming about tickets and ticket times and, because I had just had that happen. That's how your fucking brain works.
Well, I take back what I said earlier then, Mike. Apparently you are right with God because that's confirmation that you working there is what God wants of you.
Oh, that's what that's all about. It has nothing to do with the fact that that's how my brain works.
No, it's God telling you that what you do with tickets at that restaurant is what God wants you to do. And it also, I'm sure, you probably just don't remember, but I'm sure God was telling you a lot of stuff, important stuff about QAnon too.
And I just didn't interpret it correctly enough to understand it.
Right, especially since you were, glorifying Baphomet in our last show.
And because I have no morals because I'm an atheist.
That's right. But, I mean, wow. I mean,
no, like, right, dude?
Normally confirmation bias comes from, like, you believe a bunch of shit and then you go find something within your echo chamber of sources that confirms your thing. This guy's confirmation bias came from inside his own brain.
Okay, I gotta question the dude that has him on his show though, bro. Ooh, McFiles? Is this Mayor McCheese? I mean, who is this dude?
Don't you want a guy who has a direct connection to God in his brain on our show? I would love to.
That's why we had you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I might troll God.
God. But seriously.
So, listen, I mean, we laugh, but I want to get into... there's this really disturbing trend that's going on. We spend a lot of time covering... the alt-right and kind of these younger people on the street organizing in the street, fascism stuff, but what about these sort of middle-aged or older, the late, aging boomers and stuff? These are the people that are buying into QAnon, and it's the people like in the churches and in the big mega churches and stuff that are buying into this stuff.
My generation?
Maybe a little older than you, Mike.
I don't know. They seem pretty close, though. Even still.
Yeah, in your age range, but it's disturbing to me
what
that
the fuck has happened to my generation, man? Seriously.
I don't know, man. And so, look, let's check out this pastor here and listen to him just glorify the president from the pulpit. I mean, we've covered stuff like this before, but
oh my God, yeah, let's watch this because I've got something to say. DeVos even brought it up. I saw.
Cool.
She thinks that let's do this.
Okay.
When Elijah faced Jezebel, he was facing witchcraft. Want everybody to hear what I'm saying to you.
Oh my God, seriously.
Witchcraft.
I don't know if you know this. And I don't know if you don't believe me when I tell you this. But what's happening right now in America is witchcraft's trying to take this country over.
Witchcraft is trying to take the country over.
It's trying to take it back. It's trying to take it back.
Over. And I want to tell you something else. I am not being political.
Yeah, right.
But I don't see how President Trump bears up under it. He's as strong as I have ever seen a man be. But here's what the Holy Spirit said to me last night, and here's what he said for me to tell you. He said, tell the church that so far Trump has been dealing with Ahab, but Jezebel's fixing to step out from the shadows.
Jezebel, witchcraft.
What the fuck does that mean?
And I couldn't understand the other day when I was preaching in Houston why I felt something so much on this when I was preaching. I felt a real powerful unction on me when I was preaching this about intimidation. Or I was preaching this about containment. But then last night when the Lord gave me this about the witchcraft, the Lord said he's been dealing with this, but he said pray for him now, because he said there's about to be a shift and the deep state
there it
is about to manifest, and it's going to be a showdown like you can't believe.
It's going to be a showdown like you can't believe.
They don't even know what the fuck
Man of God, and I'm telling you, It's time to pray for the president. Oh my God. I heard the Lord say.
He heard the Lord say.
To take him out of power.
That's right.
Let's stand and pray right now.
There is an attempt to take him out of power. Oh my God.
Stand and pray.
Come on, help me out right now.
Yeah, because he's
Everybody help me pray.
breaking the law.
Come on, help me pray, church. I don't want you to pray in 2 minutes. I want you to pray. Come on, help me.
What the fuck?
He doesn't want to be political, though, but he's praying to make sure, that the deep state doesn't take out Trump.
I like how he had to confirm and let everybody know that he is a man of God. I mean, I'm letting you know, I am a man of God.
Yeah. God speaks to this guy, too.
Why? Why does God speak to that guy? Why?
Well, apparently it was the Holy Spirit. Though. Yeah.
I don't... And you wonder why I'm an atheist.
What does any of what he said have to do with, Bible stuff and church and whatnot and Jesus and that was just
Jesus spoke to him and got all fucking political apparently.
Right. First, he stopped off at this other idiot's house and, confirmed QAnon. And then he came over to this dude's house and said, hey, check it out, witchcraft and whatnot and the deep state. Ask Dingbat here in the first video because I just gave him the straight skinny on QAnon. And you're talking deep state stuff. So you need to get together,
Yeah, God is everywhere.
God's team,
Or like I like to say, Elvis is everywhere. Is that Bernie Sanders?
Everybody needs a little Elvis in him.
That guy has no Elvis in him.
Seriously, no Elvis in him at all, bro. But what
the fuck does he have in him? What is this like speaking in tongues shit or what? This is driving me crazy.
Yeah, that's speaking in tongues.
This is gibberish, bro.
Yeah, it's gibberish. Because, let's just assume, for the sake of argument, okay, that, God and speaking in tongues and all that stuff is a real thing. Okay? How does that relate to this made-up bullshit about a deep state and witchcraft? This is just not anywhere approaching reality. Okay? So I'm sorry, God is not giving you a heavenly language to pray that Trump survives this imaginary fucking war that he's a criminal and some FBI people are investigating him. He's a lifelong fucking criminal. The deep state. Fuck off. The deep state as it truly exists, like the military-industrial complex and the military intelligence complex, that shit's real. But they're not, hurting from a Trump administration at all. The deep state is not...
No, I mean, the intelligence community's not too stoked on him because he keeps talking shit about him.
Making their job hard because he's confused.
But he's still funding the fuck out of them and the industrial war complex.
So what all this is dog whistling, the deep state. Dude, that is, and witchcraft. What they're saying, dude, is that liberals are satanic witchcraft people who are out to vote out a right-wing president. Okay?
It's all in how you determine the dream.
And they're coming after him. And you know what else, Mike? You can't even support President Trump and wear a hat that says "Make America Great Again" because you might get killed. And you know how I know? Because apparently God has a really great relationship with Jim Baker these days, even though he, pulled millions of dollars in tax fraud on his flock years ago and went to prison and whatnot. And then now he sells buckets of gruel for preppers and for people who are waiting Armageddon. He sells big, giant 5-pound fucking buckets of slop to get people ready for Armageddon. Jim Baker. You remember Jim
sells
Baker?
Yeah, I know Jim Baker. Little short, scrawny little dude thinks he talks to God too. He's selling buckets of gruel.
Yeah, it's
to get ready for the Holocaust and
it's not the Holocaust, but Armageddon. It's like Armageddon. food. Get ready. And he gets these people to buy 5 gallons and 20-gallon buckets. They're like paint buckets. They're like big paint buckets.
Get
dude.
the fuck out.
Yeah, and he hawks them every fucking day.
Is it like preservatives? Like, because I know, like...
I have no idea. And, it's probably made out of the same crap Alex Jones makes his pills out of. I don't freaking know. I would never eat
Army
a bucket
rations.
of Armageddon gruel.
Spam, brother, spam.
But check it out. The reality... Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, because, the Mormons have this thing with their 2-year storage, man. They put their 2-year storage away in preparation for Armageddon.
They're probably prepping with food that would actually get them through a couple years.
Well, yeah, it's dried beans and stuff like that, and you know how I mean, even my sister is into canning and stuff, and she's not really hardcore Mormon, but they they do all that. But yeah, it's stuff that would actually you can use and rotate it, and it's preserved.
I'm thinking Jim Baker's buckets are filled with the same green slime that you saw in Repo Man. But
Double Dare, right?
Yeah. But the thing is, we're so lucky that God speaks to these people. You know what I mean?
What's it going to take for the church to really stand up during these next election years? I'm very concerned, because if we don't, God's not mocked.
God's not mocked.
People in America are mocking God.
People in America
We're
are
in a
mocking
serious
God.
time. There's a lady that has a shirt back in that T-shirt.
I'm the one that's doing
Would you
it.
say, pray for 45? I've been thinking, Lance, you are truly the wrecking ball.
Well, at least praying won't do any good.
Preacher. I mean, you brought Trump right out there.
He means that in a good way.
Yes.
Yeah, he does.
I know, but I mean, because you're not afraid.
Yeah.
And you weren't afraid to stand up for Trump? Just you labeled him what God told you about him.
God told you about him.
But now this shirt she has there, I've been thinking, I don't dare wear a Trump hat.
How much work is she
And
at?
I'm confessing it.
Mm-hmm.
But the evil in this country
That is a scary
so bad.
smile, dude.
If I was a Republican, which I had been my whole life, I couldn't wear a hat with my candidate on it.
Bullshit.
Without concern about being murdered in the streets.
Without being murdered in the street.
That's ridiculous.
What's wrong?
Not one person has ever been murdered in the street for wearing a fucking MAGA hat.
Every church
That's
member's
sensationalizing
gotta
it.
pray for 45. Made them
Fear-mongering.
up themselves or do something.
Victim card fear-mongering.
America is
And why the
freedom
fuck should he?
of
I mean, do
freedom
your
of
thing. I don't give a
everything,
fuck.
freedom of religion. And yet,
I might talk shit to you.
Christians
Oh, they talk shit to you.
are cowering back.
Christians are
and
cowering
living
back.
in fear.
Living in fear, even though the
Even though
White
we've
House is
elected a
awash.
president.
Yeah.
Unless we move out in God, it will be the last president we ever elect.
The last president we ever
I believe
He wasn't elected, by the way. Stolen.
there can be a revolution, a revival, a
He
restoration.
lost by 3 million votes.
And I'm concerned. They're putting us in a corner.
Putting us in a corner.
And I won't shut up. So
What fucking corner are you in? The one where you're in the Oval Office praying over
What-
Trump, the evangelicals and shit?
Bullshit Christian victimization.
me
Yeah.
It's made up.
Yep.
that I will be killed, that I will be through. And yet I don't stop. I'm in the United States of America, and I'm threatened because I want to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. I believe the
You're not
Bible.
threatening for
I believe
preaching the
this
gospel
whole
of Jesus
book.
Christ, homie. It's not
Why
what people
can't
are
I
upset
believe
with you
this book?
about.
In America,
You know, believe in that fucking
cannot
piece of shit all you
believe
want.
this book without
Believe in
being
it. Go for it,
aroused.
dude.
Yeah.
You believe all the lies you want. I have no problem with that. What I have a problem with is separation of church and state, and why the fuck that's not happening. Why DeVos comes out the other day and says, that's archaic thinking that should be, stricken back to the history books.
She said what now?
that they should get rid of the separation of church and state, and
Wow.
strike it back to the history books or some shit like that.
Well, there it is. I mean, that is theocratic fascism at its crux. Really? Because
Right, for-profit schools.
Yeah.
Basically,
So that they can indoctrinate little children into all this garbage that we've just spent the last 20 minutes watching, and teach them that this is how the world works. God speaks to us in dreams and confirms bullshit conspiracy theories that are easily debunked.
God tells us that we need to stand and pray for 45. That Christians are being persecuted, and that we need to stand up and unite. Otherwise, it'll be the last president that we ever elect. Okay, you elected him. You're going to take credit for that. You elected somebody who's been accused by how many? 19 women of sexual misconduct. How's that? Is that a proper way to put it?
Yeah, and he's never.
You were accused of rape by your ex-wife. You slept with how many? I mean, we obviously know about the Stormy Daniels affair while Melania was pregnant. But what about cheating on your old lady while you were married with your new wife?
What about?
What about all the divorce? What about all? This has fucking nothing to do with Christianity at all whatsoever.
I know.
But for some reason, he's your prophet now.
And I'll add this, Mike, is that when Donald Trump was asked, have you ever asked for forgiveness of your sins? He said no. He said that he doesn't do that.
Flat out said no.
And just try not to make mistakes. So why are a bunch of so-called? Because that's the cornerstone. That's the how you become a Christian is you say to Jesus Christ, I repent of my sins. I'm a sinner. Please forgive me of these sins. And it's not just a blanket thing. You have to be like, I made this sin, and I'm guilty of that sin. Please forgive me, Lord, and help me not to sin again, and rule my life. And be my savior for all eternity. And you have to perpetually, seek redemption for sin because we are perpetually in sin. Again, all this according to traditional evangelical doctrine, right? So for Trump to say I don't ask for forgiveness, why would a bunch of fucking so-called Christians get behind this guy and think that he's God's chosen? He has denied God. Blatantly, and that's fine. I don't give a shit whether he's a Christian or not a Christian. I really don't care. I don't like that he kowtows to these people and makes them, because they all think he's some fucking Christian.
Dude, seriously, and I don't fucking get it. How can you not see? How are you so blind? I mean, I get you believe in fantasy and fairy tales and fucking sky gods and shit, right? That's got to be it. It's got to be it.
No, they're just so easily susceptible because they don't know anything. They're the same people who can tell me that the Civil War had nothing to do with slavery, and call themselves an historic society.
Honestly, that is just flat out unintelligence. Right. That's all it is.
And
it's like not being able to. It's
astounding ignorance.
Not being able to form a fucking thought on your own. You can't have a single thought on your own. You have to have somebody tell you how to think and how to act. Why? Because you have no morals? No, I'm the atheist without morals, remember?
So, and you're right, Mike. So what it is that, like, one, they don't have any base of actual, like, reality-based education. But then you heap on top of that a lot of Tucker Carlson and, just Breitbart and all these far right, and these evangelicals and Pat Robertson and these people that we've been covering
here.
That,
my God,
Jim Baker. This is where they get their information from. So it's a really disgusting cesspool of lies and exploitation of religious belief and spirituality, and making people think that a blatant heretic is somehow a Christian that they should pray for, and God's talking to them about the war going on. And this is going to set us up for the next little clip here, but because listen to him talk all this long fucking victim card bullshit, bro.
No, dude, I swear I hear this all the time. They're the ones that are being victimized. I've heard it from, my ex-Christian friend who was telling me how, they were finding out more and more that the Bible stories were actually true, which was a long line of bullshit. But I mean, it's the same thing I hear over and over again, how they're victimized and how they can't practice their religion and they're being, they're being pushed in a corner and not being able to speak their mind. And I'm like, where the fuck are you coming from?
Right.
I don't get it. And I have another question real quick.
Okay.
What the fuck happened to separation of church and state? Well, I don't. I mean, I guess I should know. I guess I do know. I mean, from my understanding, Trump didn't he sign some fucking proclamation that said now that preachers can now, and they're not going to be taxed?
It's about the Johnson Amendment, and there's a lot of gray area with that. Listen, there are still elements of church and state, of separation of church and state in place right now. We do not have like an evangelical pastor running the country, like the way. The Catholic Church was, took over Europe, and the Pope was in charge of countries and shit. Like, we don't have that, but they're setting the groundwork for that to happen, and that's what Betsy DeVos is doing. But they're doing it on selling them on fear, and this whole thing that it's witchcraft coming, or it's the evil deep state, which is, I wanted to say earlier that's dog whistling for Jews, okay, and deep state stuff, that's Rothschilds, and that just gets into the whole anti-Zionist tropes and the anti-Semitic tropes of that's all racism, man. It's the old John Birch Society shit, but we're the violent ones. It's the whole thing with the Antifa's the violent ones, not these far right fascist thugs on the street that are starting all this shit, and we're under attack. I'm going to be murdered for wearing a MAGA hat. So
oh my God, dude! Seriously, no. You're gonna get maybe confronted and get yelled at, and maybe some get in your face and maybe get spat on.
But all this rhetoric, this stuff that we've been looking at for the last few minutes, is it's built up and it inspires things. It's inspiring things to happen in America, and the people that it's inspiring are the most foul of the foul of true, like self-professed racists who believe in God. And just take a look here. Let's check it out.
Well, they believe in Jesus and they're racist. Oh yeah, let's see this.
We are here tonight as the League of the South to put 3 items to the flame into the ovens of justice. One is this insidious Star of Remphan, the symbol of the Jew. The second is the Communist Manifesto, written by Jew Karl Marx, which was responsible for the deaths of over 100 million people in the 20th century. And the Talmud, the blueprint for international Jewry's plan to rid the world of the white race. All of these will be consigned to the flames of justice tonight. 109 times in the history of the world, the Jew has been banished from our midst. Lord, we ask that you make number 110 come soon for our Southland. And we also, Father, ask you to reveal to the world that hoax that the Jew has been perpetrating now for 80 years, something called the Holocaust, which is nothing but a con game based on all 3 of these symbols. We consign these to the holy fire of these ovens for the Gentiles of the world. We stand for the white race against all of our enemies, particularly the Jew, and all of these symbols represent that enemy. And we consign them to these flames tonight. May God make it so.
Hail victory!
Hail victory!
Okay, Reverend, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Jesus a Jew?
Last I checked, yeah.
So who the fuck were they praying to kill the Jews? They've been banished 109 times in the world history, and make the 100. He's going to banish his own people.
Yeah.
I hope he burns his ass on the fires of justice. Fuck knuckle. Seriously.
And there's this, there it is. There's people who are like, yeah, we're Sieg Heiling, and we're straight up neo-Nazi.
Yeah,
and we're
fuck that old man in the back doing the Heil Hitler sign.
And there they are saying, this is important, that we're also going to burn the Communist Manifesto. The Jew Marx. Because I'm constantly got trolls on my video about Dinesh D'Souza's new movie telling me what an idiot I am because somehow Hitler was a liberal and a socialist.
Right. We talked about this.
So here's real straight up neo-Nazis loving God and, all fired up now in this new rise in far-right extremism in America in 2018 since the rise of Trump. And there he is saying, this Jew Marx is the worst scourge of 100 million people dead and all this shit,
Yeah, for some reason Trump has made racism okay. Like it's okay to be a racist now.
But it's not fascism because, liberals who are doing witchcraft in the deep state are the ones that are the fascists. Not these guys who are burning the Talmud and the Communist Manifesto and the flag of Israel.
No, they're men of God, bro.
Right, they're men of God. And their great white hope is in office. And, and God's been talking to all these other pastors about how we have to stand up because otherwise people won't be able to, hate on Jews and lie about Marx's influence on the world and completely distort what his message was and who he was. And, and the Talmud too, man. The Talmud has nothing to do with any of the shit he's talking about. That's like a bunch of rabbis and oral traditions and them trying to make sense of what it says in the Old Testament and their history. And, the Talmud's a really fascinating collection of work.
That's their blueprint, bro.
Yeah, it's the blueprint. What he's talking about is this bullshit Protocols of the Elders of Zion. That's what he should have been holding up, that long debunked book that says, the big Jewish conspiracy to take over the world. The Talmud just doesn't have anything to do with it. It's Jews trying to understand God. That's all it is. That's it. Jews trying to understand God. It's, but again, it's the left that's violent, right? And you know what else, Mike, is the left, if they win an election, they're going to get really violent.
Right.
The great orange white hope said so. Let's get into that now. So let's get into some fucking trouble.
Oh my God, you're going to piss me off.
This is what he just fucking said this last week.
We have breaking news. In a recording now heard by CNN, President Trump is warning of violence if Republicans lose the midterm elections and Democrats take over up on Capitol Hill. Speaking last night before evangelical leaders at a dinner over at the White House, the president said, and I'm quoting now from the recording that CNN has heard, "I think we're popular, but there's a real question as to whether people are going to vote if I'm not on the ballot." And I'm not on the ballot. A lot of people think I don't like Congress. People say I'm not voting because the president doesn't like Congress. It's not a question of like or dislike. It's a question that they will overturn everything that we've done, and they will do it quickly and violently. And violently. The president said, there is violence, his words. When you look at Antifa, these are violent people, he continues. You have tremendous power. You were saying in this room, you have people who preach to almost 200 million people, depending on which Sunday we're talking about, close quote. That from the president.
Okay, and he was talking to evangelicals when he said that.
Yep.
So my question again, why the fuck are we talking to evangelicals in the White House? And then left-wing violence if the left wins?
Right.
Antifa? Is this just an opportunity to talk shit on those who oppose anti-fascism?
It's a way
those who oppose fascism, let me correct myself.
It's a way to string together and lump every version of the left. So basically what he's saying is the liberals, your average, centrist kind of, likes their whatever
I
liberal
absolutely
person.
do. I've got a few liberal friends.
is the Antifa terrorism. Okay, first of all, it's based on the ridiculous assumption that Antifa is somehow a violent group because they commit property damage, and if they're being attacked, if their community is under attack by violent fascists, they'll fight back. Sorry, that's not a violent movement. That's not terrorism. And I also would point out you don't see Antifa ever unless there's fascists. It's the only time you ever see Antifa. So they're not a threat to anybody unless you're a blatant organizing in the street.
You mean they just don't like have like Antifa marches like downtown in the middle of Portland just, to celebrate the fact that they're anti-fascists?
Nope, they sure don't.
They
but
don't.
They'll come out
Do
when
they do it in
Patriot Prayer
Berkeley?
does that. No.
Right? Do they march up and down the streets of Berkeley and take over UC Berkeley and preach anti-fascism?
No.
Oh, so basically what you're telling me is that they are in response to fascists.
Right.
Okay, so we got that straight.
Got
it,
straight.
liberals? Okay.
But disregard all that. They're totally the worst, most violent, want to destroy America and Middle America terrorists. And it's the liberals too, because they're about witchcraft. They're all witchcraft, and then there's the deep state. So what Trump really did, almost brilliantly, there was he lumped all these different groups into one thing, and it's the evil witchcraft deep state Antifa. That if they win an election, they're going to be violent.
Anything on the left, anything that's not. I'm sorry, it's anything that's not on the right.
Right.
Didn't he just go off on about?
Yes, thank you. But let me just clarify a little bit.
Go ahead.
Anything that's not 100% pro-Trump. Okay, so what he's done is he has managed to successfully fearmonger his base into continuing to support him, right?
Yeah.
And making them all, but by selling this string of lies. But it's not just that. Oh, okay, great. It's much broader than just winning over and solidifying his base. It's turning them into really, really dangerous, reactionary, ready to go out and fuck shit up and burn Talmuds and burn communist manifestos and attack our friend's bookstore in Berkeley. And you know what I'm saying? Like, it's activating
because
these
they're
people.
Victims.
Yeah, because they're victims.
They're telling them they're victims.
Yeah.
With the left is the one that's going to be the violent ones. So you need to counter. I mean, when obviously Antifa has done nothing except property damage,
right,
which is completely different than what the right has done. You don't see the left walking into churches and shooting people up, but yet you see the right walking into abortion clinics and shooting them up.
Damn right. And so, look, I want to get into this next clip. And so it revolves around the Molly Tibbetts murder. So, so listen, actually, we're going to play this clip from Tom Hartman, but it also gets into this really, really disturbing robocall that's going out. It's a totally 100% just gross, racist, fascist robocall that's going around, and but it's tied up to the Molly Tibbetts. But like I said, Tom Hartman, he actually does a really good job of kind of hitting all the points. This video's a little long, but like I said, he kind of hits all the points, so I just kind of let Tom.
Tom's good like that.
Yeah, so check this out, and then we'll come back.
And then we get this in Iowa, and again, this is something that has been ginned up and cranked up by Fox So-Called News, promoting white supremacy and racism across the United States since the 1990s, and also by Trump and all the Trumpettes, which is this story about this young lady, Miss Tibbetts, who was murdered by a fellow who is apparently, and Molly Tibbetts, who is murdered by a fellow who's apparently an illegal immigrant. We haven't defined that yet, or a person here without documentation, or illegal immigrant has come to seize the lexicon, just like right to work. It's one of these right-wing memes. But in any case, a reader in Des Moines, Iowa, to Starting Line, it's a website that's associated with the Des Moines newspaper, got one of these robocalls, recorded this thing. Apparently it got recorded on their voicemail, and sent it into the newspaper. The newspaper has published it, and under the headline, "Neo-Nazi Robocall Hits Iowa on Tibbetts Murder. Kill Them All." And, this is this is the bizarre kind of racialized politics that, you know, might have been standard fare in the United States in the 1840s, but it, you know, really should have no place in this country today. This is the kind of stuff that the Nazis were promoting in the 1930s, talking about Jews. Now they're talking about Hispanics. And this is from that robocall. This is what people were hearing across Iowa. And as far as we can tell, this may well be going national.
The body of 20-year-old Molly Tibbetts was found in a cornfield after she was stabbed to death by an invader from Mexico.
An invader from Mexico. Oh my God, the brown people are coming. You know, we're not hearing much about invaders from Europe, all right? Here it continues.
Biological hybrid of white and his savage Aztec ancestors who also killed with knives during their mass human sacrifices on top of pyramids they didn't build. Some relatives of Molly Tibbetts.
Right, the savage Aztecs who had an advanced civilization. I mean, you could argue it was more advanced than some European civilizations. And what, they didn't build the pyramids? Oh, well, they couldn't have been smart enough to do that. Must have been space aliens, right? These guys are nuts.
Started implying that despite having been murdered by a non-white savage intruder, she would still support the invasion of America by a brown horde, currently at a staggering 58 million. But you know...
See, there's that brown horde, and this is the whole, oh my God, America is going to become majority minority. Wait a minute. White people are the worldwide minority. We're right now a majority minority country. The majority is white, and that's a minority worldwide. We're going to become a majority country, but it's going to be, you know, quite some time. But that doesn't, you know, stop these guys from just panicking. Oh my God. And you know, people, regardless of race, people can hold to the values of the United States. I mean, this bizarre idea that because somebody's skin color is different or they came from a different country that they can't, you know, hold to the liberal values of the Enlightenment that animated the creation and the constant progress of the United States is terrible. Anyhow, he continues.
In your heart, they are wrong. If after her life has now been brutally stolen from her, she could be brought back to life for just one moment and asked, what do you think now? Molly Tibbetts would say,
kill them all.
Molly Tibbetts would say, kill them all, right? Oh, yeah, that's what we need to do, kill them all. You know, the fact of the matter is Molly Tibbetts' family is out there saying, quit trying to politicize the death of our daughter, sister, mother, or whatever she, you know, I guess a daughter and sister. No, they're saying. This is not what Molly Tibbetts would say. And stop saying that, right-wing Republicans. Stop saying that, Fox so-called news. Stop saying that, right-wing hate radio. And obviously stop saying that to these Nazi robocallers in Iowa. It continues.
Well, we don't have to kill them all, but we do have to deport them all. The Aztec hybrids, known as mestizos, are low IQ, bottom-feeding savages, and is why the countries they infest are crime-ridden failures.
See, this is the exact same language, or very similar language, that was being used against a whole variety of people of color over the years, against Chinese in the 1880s, against African Americans throughout the history of this country. And it is vile. It is poison. But he makes the point, we've got to deport them all. And now, I mean, check this out. This story, this from the Washington Post this morning. The U.S. is denying passports to Americans along the border, throwing their citizenship into question. They tell the story. This is by Kevin Seif of the Washington Post. His official American birth certificate shows he was delivered by a midwife in Brownsville, Texas. He spent his entire life wearing American uniforms, 3 years as a private in the Army, then as a cadet in the Border Patrol, and now as a state prison guard. But when Juan, 40, applied to renew his U.S. passport, he had a U.S. passport. The government's response floored him. In a letter, the State Department said they didn't believe he was an American citizen. The Trump administration is accusing hundreds, possibly thousands of Hispanics along the border of using fraudulent birth certificates since they were babies and is undertaking a widespread crackdown. Cases identified by the Washington Post, interviews with immigration attorneys suggest a dramatic shift in both passport issuance and immigration enforcement. In some cases, passport applicants with official U.S. birth certificates are being jailed in immigration detention centers and entered into deportation proceedings. And others, they are stuck in Mexico. Their passports suddenly revoked when they try to re-enter the United States. Their crime, they have Hispanic last names and their skin is darker than mine.
Okay, so look, man, if you're going to demonize an entire race of people, and what did he fucking call it? Hybrids and vicious hordes or whatever he said.
Oh yeah,
in that robocall.
The brown horde.
If you're going to demonize low IQ, if you're going to demonize them in that way, at some point you're going to say if you're buying into that horrible racist bullshit, you're going to go, who cares if they were born in Mexico or the United States? They're the brown horde. Fucking get rid of them.
Well, apparently that's what they're doing. It doesn't matter if they were born in the United States, if they have a passport, if they have a green card, if they're a U.S. citizen. If they have a Latino last name and they live near the border, there's a good chance they're not going to get a passport or get, get a passport.
That's a guy who was born in the United States who happens to have a Hispanic or Latino, whatever sounding last name.
And he probably has family in Mexico.
Well, who doesn't have anything to do with Mexico? He just left the country.
And can't get back in.
I have a Mexican last name, man.
Yeah.
And, thankfully I was afforded white skin, so I get all the white privilege that fucking comes with it. So it may not happen to me, but I thought of that instantly. I thought of that. It doesn't have anything to do with border town. He didn't say that guy lived in border towns. These are people who were just Americans from anywhere across America who were traveling outside of the country, and our border patrol and our is questioning them coming back in. Maybe he went to France, man. And he's from Wisconsin. We don't know. But the point is, if you got some brown skin and you have a Latino last name, you may not get back in your fucking country of birth. How do we know that that specific example that he gave wasn't generations of being from America? First they came for the immigrants, then they came for the indigenous.
Well, what did he point out? He pointed out that these are the same fucking things that they said about the Chinese. It was the same thing they've said about black people for all these years, and now they're just starting to say it about brown people. They said it about the Japanese during World War II. They said it about the Italians and the Polish back in World War I.
Yep.
So, once again, those are people from Europe, and they didn't have different color skin. Same fucking color. But either way. It's the same fucking thing. I want to know something else. I got another question. How the fuck do you get a robocall like that? Do you have to pay some crazy ass money to the phone company so that they'll fucking play your robocall? I mean, how do they get that to happen? I don't even know how you would go about doing that.
It's setting up. It's like in a call center thing, and you get, people. A lot of times, Mike, when you register to vote, your name goes on lists. Then they just start calling these people out. Now, it's all landline stuff mostly.
Yeah, exactly. I remember when I was doing what is that? Phone banking. Mm-hmm. It was law landlines.
Right. It's that kind of concept. But yes, a lot of the stuff is funded so that they can pay all the people in all these call centers to do a lot of this stuff. And it's not necessarily people in call centers, but yeah, there is a lot of money that goes in so that you buy phone numbers.
That's fucking crazy. So these racists have enough money to buy robocalls and send them out.
Right. And just imagine the 67-year-old woman sitting at home listening to pastor fuck whatever talk about QAnon, Jim Baker, whoever, talking about how QAnon and the deep state and the witchcraft and whatnot, and then you get that robocall and you're like, holy shit, now the brown witchcraft liberal antifas are coming, and and they murdered this poor Molly Tibbetts girl. Oh my gosh. When the family's going, stop using our fucking family member's death to sell your fucking racist bullshit. Stop it. And they're not. prior to that robocall going out, the family members of Molly Tibbetts had already come out, more than one of them, and made statements and said, stop it. Stop using our daughter for this. We totally disagree with you. She would not have said that. They're just doing it anyway. They don't give a fuck. Because Jesus and stuff, and witchcraft and whatever. And it's not racism, though. It's not racism. Let's check out this clip here.
What I was going to say is they've been saying this shit all along. Now all they do, they have evidence. They just have this popped up and it happened to be,
right.
Apparently someone documented a guy and I guess we're still not even sure about that.
Well, they tried to get the whole, I can't remember the names of the people, but, there was the dude with undocumented status who found a gun in, Pier 38 or whatever down in Fisherman's Wharf, right? And it went off and a woman was murdered, and they tried to turn that into illegal aliens or the violent major criminals. And now they have this one. Because the bottom line is, it's been all fucking studies across the board show that immigrants commit far less crime than,
of course,
people who live here, because there's so much more to lose.
Well, bro, and studies show that they're zero. I mean, it's negative immigration. They're leaving. They were anyways a few years ago. I don't know what it is now, but my understanding was there are less people coming. They're more going back.
I know.
Because the economy sucks so bad.
It's hordes of Aztecs who didn't build the pyramids that they straight up fucking built. I
can't believe these people can come up with this shit.
Because they're watching Ancient Aliens too, which I have to confess I have a guilty pleasure for. I love that fucking show. But I don't for a second believe aliens built any of these sites through these unexplained historic sites, right? But that's mixed up in all of it too. People don't have any time. It's so crazy. Michael, they don't have a grounding in reality, people. But Trump's not a racist too, either. There's still nope, he's not a racist.
Or a misogynist.
Or none of that. So
he's never been a racist. Okay,
let's play this clip here. This is a dude from Southern Poverty Law Center hanging out with Amy Goodman. Let's check.
Oh, right on.
Looking at how multiple people close to Donald Trump have direct ties to white supremacists. President Trump's top economic advisor, Larry Kudlow, has admitted he recently hosted white nationalist publisher Peter Brimlow at a birthday celebration at his home. Brimlow founded the anti-immigrant website vdare.com. Meanwhile, Trump's speechwriter Darren Beattie was fired last Friday as revelations surfaced that he'd spoken at a conference alongside prominent white nationalists, including Brimlow, in 2016. Beattie was a panelist at the H.L. Mencken Club Conference, an event the Southern Poverty Law Center calls a gathering of, quote, white nationalists and pseudo-academic and academic racists.
For more, we go to Montgomery, Alabama, where we're joined by Richard Cohen, president of the Southern Poverty Law Center. Welcome back to Democracy Now!, Richard. Talk about these latest developments.
Well, I don't think they're entirely surprising, Amy. We've seen a real cross-fertilization between, some hardcore people in the anti-immigrant movement and the Trump administration. Jeff Sessions, Stephen Miller, and, now these revelations.
Talk about who Darren Beattie was speaking at the H.L. Mencken Conference and what that was.
Sure. The H.L. Mencken Conference is, kind of an incubator or for alt-right ideas. People like, Richard Spencer was its founder, was one of its founders. They have an assortment of, kind of academic racists who speak there every year, including people like Peter Brimlow. And it's quite incredible that Darren Beattie, a speechwriter for Mr. Trump, would have been there in 2016. He gave a speech that was really music to the ears, I'm sure, of his audience. It was very Trumpy. It was kind of an anti-globalist speech. He talked about globalism as, kind of being one of the things that was responsible for the errors, as he put it, of immigration. And he talked about movement conservatism being dead and a new form of right-wing intelligentsia emerging. And I know that was music to the ears of the racist who listened to him.
And Richard Cohen, can you explain who, Stephen Miller is, of course, still in the Trump administration, and explain what VDare is?
Well, VDare is a website that Brimlow started. And really, it's a publishing platform for white nationalists. People like Jared Taylor, someone who said that, black people weren't capable of forming a civilization, someone who said that he was the spokesperson for the organization from which Dylann Roof drew the idea that there was a genocide afoot against white people. So, I think it's been a mouthpiece for the radical right, white nationalism, anti-Semitism for almost 20 years now.
Okay, so this whole white supremacist website things, that's not just that one that they're talking about. I don't know, Mike, if you're familiar with this guy DeSantis in Florida, where this guy Gilliam is challenging him and is doing real well, and he referred to him as monkeying things up.
I did. Yes, I saw that flat out. I absolutely saw that. That was bullshit.
So it also has come out that DeSantis was an admin for this disgusting racist webpage that had other politicians, like I wrote their names down, dude, that were admins on this page. There's Senate candidate Kelly Ward from Arizona, the Senate candidate Corey Stewart from Virginia, and Ron DeSantis. And then, of course, when it came out the next day, DeSantis freaking, dropped out of his admin role. But there was just super disgusting things about immigrants. Open, blatant racism and calling for murder and genocidal stuff and blatant, straight up. And a bunch of right-wing people running for office right now, Republicans.
Yeah.
Admitting these Nazi sites.
Yeah.
Maybe Nazi again isn't the right one, but these are racist, fascist websites that these politicians, these political hopefuls,
right out in the open.
Mm-hmm.
He chose his words wisely. He knew what the fuck he was saying. They all do.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind how it's blatant now. It's fine. It's okay. Thanks to Cheetolini, it's fine. It's okay to be a racist. Come on. You have to know he grew up with his dad was a huge racist. That's all he heard. Hate is learned.
Yeah, absolutely.
You are not born into racism.
No.
Okay? You don't give a fuck what color this kid is next to you when you're playing. You have to be taught hate, and he was taught hate by his father. They were
deeply ingrained in
weren't they prosecuted for not
yeah.
to black people?
Yeah, for total
back in the
racial
70s?
Discrimination. Yeah, for total housing discrimination.
He's a fucking racist, and he
more
has
than
been
once,
since day one.
Numerous times, they were fined for it.
Numerous times.
Right.
So he's been a racist for a long time. Daddy taught him how real well.
Yeah. But the witchcraft and the deep state and the Antifa liberal,
and yet the church still embraces him. The evangelicals still love him.
They'll embrace him and they still love him. And
I swear to God, Jesus said something about loving everybody and not mattering what color your skin is.
I know he was kind of like
he said something about that.
Like he said, I was a stranger and you let me in. I was cold and you clothed me. I was hungry and you fed me.
But it's about the kids, bro.
Ah, the unborn babies.
Remember what that dude, that evangelical dude that had the dream, she said it was about the kids.
That's right.
It's about the kids.
Right. And not getting shot and murdered in the street for loving the Bible and wearing a MAGA hat, which has never happened to anyone ever. But you better be terrified of it and make sure you vote for the Christian dude that's not a Christian.
Because,
whatever.
Christians are being victimized by us atheists.
So look, man, in other fascist news, let's get into it.
We have more fascist news.
Yeah, but this one's going to be cool because it's a straight up fucking Radd Report, bro. Radd Kahn's going to come in and hang out with us and talk a little bit about what's going on in his country of origin.
Okay, so do you want to tell our listeners who Radd Kahn is?
Okay, so we are an ever-growing monstrosity here at Punks for Progress.
This is also a big what the fuck to me, anyway. So go ahead.
Okay, So, we started out, it was me and, Punker Mike.
Talking shit on the phone.
Talking shit on the phone. And then we ultimately started doing this thing. And then we thought, Mike's moving to Hawaii, and it really sucks that we won't be able to cover stuff in Southern California anymore. So that we were like, So-Cal Shannon kind of fucking rules. And she does. So we brought her on.
Yeah, she kind of does, huh?
Yeah, she kind of does. And then we were like, hey, that's kind of cool bringing in new people. And now we're covering like 3 regions. Like, what if we could get people from other places to do that understand like what punk rock really is?
Well, yeah, come on, we thought about that, dude. But come on,
proper anti-capitalists and that kind of stuff.
There's nobody that's gonna. I mean, we were lucky to get Shannon. There's not going to be anybody else that's going to be able to fit in with our fucking maniacal bullshit.
Well, as it turns out, God told me in a dream.
Okay, tell me. I'm listening now.
That this really kick-ass cat named Radd Kahn, who's East Bay, Bay Area guy.
Very cool.
Punk rocker and proper leftist and proper anti-fascist. He knows what the fuck's going on. And
yeah, he's been following us on our page for
quite
some time and making very cool rad comments.
Poignant Radd Kahn comments, man. And so we're like, dude, why don't you just rep the Bay Area for us? Because I go down there a lot and cover things, but he's actually from there, and I'll never be true Bay Area, dude. Give me a break. I can keep going to stuff there, but so
your heart's in Reno, bro.
That's where I'm at, dude. But so Radd Kahn is covering the Bay Area, and we should also mention that straight up fucking Bobby O, what's up from the Bronx, dude. We also have a straight up New York hardcore friend, Bobby O, who's going to be representing us.
That was bad. That was a very bad Eastern.
I know. I just said hardcore. It's just you can't call the only word I will ever use that horrible accent in is for that word hardcore, because you can't call it hardcore. It's New York hardcore. I mean, give me a break. Anyway,
whatever, dude. No, Bobby.
Fight me, Mike. Let's go.
Bobby's been the shit. He's got some stuff going on too, yeah. He's been around the scene for a long time.
Toured and played in some really good New York hardcore bands. And,
so you're telling me now that Punks for Progress not only has representation in Southern California and Reno of all places, well, in fucking Hawaii of all places, but straight up Bay Area
and the Bronx
and New York now.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's on, But so listen, why don't we bring Radd Kahn on now and let him tell us what's up with what's up? What do you think?
I think we should definitely do that.
Excellent. Let's do it. Hey, so welcome to the weekly What the Fuck Report, Radd Kahn.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, dude, welcome to Punks for Progress.
Yeah, all around. Yeah, big time.
Hey, guys. Yeah, thanks for having me. I just, I wanted to just...
Welcome.
Thank you. Well, I wanted to touch real quick on, we've been seeing a lot of... just throughout the world, a lot of neo-fascist populist movements, we've seen a bunch of different ones, like Golden Dawn in Greece coming to power and getting seats in Parliament. We had the Brexit vote and also the subsequent election in the UK with Theresa May being elected, and we had the election here where our president was elected on...
How dare you call him our president?
It's a technicality. I mean, okay, it's like... okay, but...
and he wasn't elected. He stole the election.
Well, yeah, who was able to steal the election with a lot of help from right-wing populism.
That's right.
And
Absolutely.
then... also, all the backlash, all the neo-fascist backlash in Spain that we saw with the Catalonia independence vote.
That's right.
And France also came very close to electing Marine Le Pen of the National Front. But what I wanted to touch on now is that Brazil has an election coming up in about a month.
Yeah.
And it's going to be Lula, who is currently in prison, who was he was persecuted by the far right, and I mean, whether or not he actually
prosecuted.
Was guilty doesn't matter, but they obviously put him in jail for far longer than necessary, right around the time of the election, and he can't campaign, and of course, you know, they are.
Enough,
Yeah,
right?
but this
Coincidentally enough. Yeah.
this dude's
Sorry,
been.
what?
I said coincidentally enough, right?
Right.
Right, and what I was saying is that this guy's been around for a long time. He's been in and out of power, hasn't he?
Yeah, for I remember when I was a kid in Brazil, I went with my mom to the voting booth, and yeah, Lula was one of the candidates back in, I think it was 1990. I forgot when what years they have elections there, and it's changed a bunch of times just because of, you know, overthrows and coups and whatnot. But yeah, he's been in and out of power. Brazil hasn't had a great history of politicians, but he was one of the most successful and one of the most popular. I mean, but the guy he's running against, though, is another one that falls in the trend lines of neo-fascist populism. It's this guy, Jair Bolsonaro. He has like sort of a military background, but he is a known fascist. He has supported the military dictatorships that happen in Brazil, saying that they got people to follow orders. I forget exactly the wording, but he supports a military government. He is incredibly sexist and racist and homophobic. There was a woman who asked him if what if his son fell in love with a black woman. He said, "My sons were very well taught and never lived in environments like yours, so that would never happen."
Wow.
He has said that he is in favor of Brazil getting nuclear weapons, and saying, and I quote, the only respectable nations are the ones that have the power to intimidate. He told a woman that she was, quote unquote, too ugly to be raped when she accused him of having a rapist in his cabinet, which is true, he did. And he is, yeah, he reminds you of somebody? Yeah, of course they've met. And he loves that guy too. And
he's all about the Cheeto-linis.
Yep.
They're all buddy, maybe hanging out with Duterte when they have a chance.
Yeah, and Salvini, like he's the same kind of guy, and he's, you know, that and like also like the demagogue qualities of like shit that he has said to people, and you know there's and apparently though there's, you know how there's people who voted in this election as like with, you know, the lesser of two evils mentality. They're doing that over there, but it seems like they're voting for this guy because they are tired of, you know, what they keep saying, corrupt socialist dictatorships.
Right.
And but and this is something else that my uncle was saying. My uncle is about 70 years old and not very well educated, but he's very sharp. He's an Italian immigrant. He moved to Brazil when he was very young, and what he said was that unfortunately it seems like the problem is just Brazilians don't know fascism. They not only have never had like real right wing, like actual fascism like we have here in many places in Europe other than just Italy and Germany have had.
Right.
Like they've never had that there, and they've also never had, you know, the the post-slavery institutionalized racism. Well, arguably, I mean, it wasn't actually embedded directly in their laws like it was here. People still were that way, absolutely. It's still a pretty racist country, but it wasn't how it was here. So it seems like they just miss stuff like that.
Sure. Well, listen, I would say that it is a lot like here. I mean, obviously we have the long history of racism and slavery and all that kind of stuff here in America, and the patriarchal systemic racism, but we don't have a real memory of a fascist dictator here. And
no, not a fascist dictator, but we've had stuff like embedded in our government that is
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, we're capitalist, okay, but
right.
The point that I was going to try and make is that, like, what is this character's name in Brazil again? The fascist guy. What's his last?
It's Jair, Jair, Jair Bolsonaro.
So Bolsonaro. Okay,
Yeah.
so Bolsonaro, what he's doing is what fascists like traditionally have and historically have always done, is when the system you're under is failing and repeatedly failing, and it's obvious it can't be fixed, and people are really desperate for a change. That's when fascists come in and go, oh, I can fix it real easy. What you got to do is hate, insert whatever, right?
Right.
Hitler was Jews. Now it sounds like this guy is, women and gay people. And
yeah,
right, but so and it's not the mechanism.
He hates everyone. He's like,
right. It's not the mechanism.
He doesn't discriminate. He hates everybody.
It's not the global. It's not the multinational corporations and the global capitalists that have inundated the entire globe with this oppressive mechanism of capitalism that's interfering with these governments all over especially in South America now. And that's
been going on for about 40 years, though.
Right. And it's just, I would say, I think it's kind of ramping up, but I mean, it's not like it's anything new. Reagan, give me a break. What was Ollie and North all about and all that,
Right.
And how many coups that America and CIA-backed coups throughout South America. So these things have contributed. So unfortunately, it sounds like maybe, I don't know, but just based on what I'm hearing you say, maybe a kind of the average citizen or person from Brazil, they haven't seen maybe real socialism. They've had all these weird fighting off capitalism things that sometimes might be called socialism.
Well, right.
And so they're like, okay, socialism failed, which is a great fucking landscape for a fascist to scoop in on and be like, oh, that's right. Because that's what they've always done, is sold out socialists. Pastor Niemöller's, the first line of his poem is that first they came for the socialists. First line until they get to the Jews, but that's the first line.
We have the loudest voices.
To anyone out there who's actually buying into Dinesh D'Souza's recent bullshit, saying that Hitler was a socialist, they came for the socialists first. Before they came for the Jews, they went for the socialists. But so it sounds just like. I keep using the term Groundhog's Day on our show, but it sounds like Groundhog's Day of fascism, the cycles of fascism happening. It's exactly. Like you said, like Le Pen and like whose father was from the.
They say history repeats itself, bro.
Yep.
That's why it's important.
And then it's also we've seen a lot of like large capitalist systems go into places to try and disrupt socialism all over South America, and then. That's the position that it put these developing governments of developing nations in, is that all of a sudden they had to compete with globalization, and capitalism, and so it led to a long line of decades of that trying to work, but it not being able to fully manifest itself. But you can see the biggest reason why is because of all of these greedy capitalist powers.
That's right.
Around it,
So let me ask you. So this election is coming up in a month, but the guy that would sort of, for lack of a better way to phrase it, be on our side is sitting in jail right now.
Yeah, he is.
But now, doesn't he have an opponent? What's her name? Dilma.
No. She was the former Brazilian president. I think she is also currently in jail.
Oh God.
Okay, but
and
okay,
she was impeached, and so it was.
I've seen them together, though.
Yeah.
I thought.
No. She used to work for him. That's how she started. I think I forget what position she had in the cabinet, dating back, I think, at least 10 years or so.
So can this election go forward with? What if the guy sitting in jail wins?
Sure.
I think they might let him appoint somebody, and then that's what a lot of the people are afraid of. Oh, it's somebody who's in jail who's gonna,
Right.
But he's, I mean, he's there for political reasons. I'll put it that way. I mean, there's pretty clear indication it was far-right persecution.
And now it's great propaganda. Look, pay no attention to the fact that we just probably locked this guy up for bullshit reasons. And but look, he's a criminal now, and you're going to let this guy avoid. Hey, what a fascist thing to do.
It seems like
that's how the right wing
works. He was convicted of, like, there were a lot of things he was convicted of that otherwise would have just come with like a fine rather than actual imprisonment.
Right, it was bullshit. My understanding, it was bullshit. Yeah. They threw him in jail basically to throw the election. You can't vote for him; he's in jail. He can't campaign, right? That way, it was all done by the right wing. So I mean, he's very popular with the Brazilian people. I'm not quite sure why. I thought he might have been socialist. I'm not real sure, but he is kind of on our side. But it's definitely seems like the right wing can just come in and do whatever the fuck they want. Is what it seems to me.
Pretty much. I mean, now it's and there's I don't have the actual evidence, but the United States has done stuff like this before, so we
on many
don't know if
occasions.
they could. Who knows? They could very well be financially behind these far-right populist movements.
Absolutely, Radd Kahn. Now look, okay, so let me say it like this. The far right is all buying into the QAnon conspiracy and the globalist conspiracy. And there is a global conspiracy afoot. And it's by far-right, very wealthy capitalists who are working together. Not only are governments that are far-right fascist governments in Europe and all throughout the West working in tandem with each other on the street level. Your Richard Spencers and your, Milos and these people, they're working with the Tommy Robinson followers in England, and they're communicating. So there is all this cross-connection between all this. This is not some Alex Jones InfoWars conspiracy theory. This is actually what's going on in the world.
No, it is. It's not a conspiracy theory. They are, it's like what I saw on one of the older videos. It's a pretty far stretch to say that they're taking over the world because they're capitalists. Capitalism has already taken over the world.
Right.
So
exactly.
And
well, listen,
and it's more of that going on, and to areas that have had history of that for 30 and 40 years. Who suffers? The people. They stay in poverty for decades.
That's right.
And their kids are in poverty, and their grandkids are in poverty.
And it's important for people to understand that there are these connections, because it's not these things that are happening in a vacuum, singular and of themselves. These are all. This is a thing that's happening to planet Earth right now. The capitalists want to turn this into what Alex Jones calls a prison planet. They want it to be an enslaved fucking fascist prison planet. That is true, but it's not.
You're enslaved to your currency, right? It's not
wage slavery
or whatever.
Wage slavery, right? It's not the fucking. It's not the witches. It's not the witches in the.
What the hell?
It's the left-wing witchcraft, dumbasses. He saw it in a dream. He saw it in a dream.
God spoke to him in a dream and told him it was QAnon.
Every single one of those Alex Jones, every single one of those conspiracy theories, like even if they don't even sound like they have anything to do with it, they all like, you know, the more you read about them or whatever, you just find more and more anti-Semitic shit over and over again.
Yep.
But that's
right.
But it's. It still blows my mind. Do Brazilians really think that a fascist is going to get them out of poverty and?
Well, Americans sure seem to think fucking so.
Right.
Yeah.
We have about a third of our population that believes anything that man tweets.
Yeah.
And nothing else.
Oh my God.
And believe nothing else but what he
third
tweets.
of the population.
Yeah. So I mean, there's astounding ignorance all over the globe. It crosses all genders and ethnicities and, you know, nations of origin. We can all experience it, you know. But listen, Radd Kahn, dude, thank you so much for fucking taking the time to put that together for us, and it really kind of.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I hope to have more updates on the election soon. I mean,
absolutely. What the fuck Radd Report.
That's right.
We can't have another country fall to fascism. I just hope, I don't know. It's something has to be done. Even if they just write in somebody else's name, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just
first step is exposing it for what it is, man. And thank you so much, Radd, and we will have you back on to keep us updated.
The Radd Report.
And thanks for covering what the fuck's going on in the Bay Area for us on Punks for Progress. So
absolutely. Thanks so much for having me, guys.
Iko Momai, welcome to Punks for Progress.
Hell yeah.
Wow, dude, that was really fucking cool. I'm really still, like, my mind is blown to the fact that, you know, Punks for Progress has expanded so much. So that was just awesome. Thanks, dude. That's our new Radd Report, bro. I'm stoked on that.
Yeah, we got straight up rad people chilling with us, and I don't know why, because we're just a bunch of moron tinfoil hat wearing weirdos. You know? Satan worshiping witchcraft people.
Freaking but no moral having atheists.
That's right, dude. But you know what time it is.
No, what?
Speaking of the growing family of Punks for Progress.
Wow.
Yeah, it's time for the So-Cal Shannon Scene Report. So hey, Shannon.
Hey.
Hey. How are you?
We're going to do a So-Cal Shannon Scene Report, but first we thought it would be good to have music at this point in our show. So I thought Shannon usually likes pretty cool music, so why not let Shannon pick a video each week to play right now? So Shannon, you picked one, did you not?
I did.
Why don't you set it up? What is this called that we're going to be subjected to?
It's really good. I love it. And it's catchy. You'll like it too. It's Panic Attack by Fatty Cakes and the Puff Pastries. Okay. They're from Fresno.
By who?
That shit straight.
Fatty Cakes and the Puff Pastries.
Damn right.
Let's
do
play
this.
So
Mike.
it's a righteous. I have to say this, okay? Because this is what they call themselves. Where is it? I didn't write it down. I'm so sorry. It's a girl gang. They don't even call themselves a band. They're a girl gang. And I forgot the rest.
Sweet.
I didn't write it down. I'm so sorry. But Panic Attack.
Everybody staring at me, my head up, my body, don't step, staring.
I'm sorry if I'm shy. That was great, Shannon.
That was fantastic.
That was. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
I love them.
Yeah, so tell us about them.
So they're from Fresno, and I don't know. Somehow I hooked up with them, and I listened to that song, which is their newest, and I started listening to them, and there's some righteous feminists, and I think it was last week, and it may have been for this album. Alice Bagg is backing them somehow, promoting them. I don't know, producing them. I'm
Alice
not
Bagg
sure.
approved.
Yep. So they do play in LA on occasion.
Cool. So you have a scene report too, though.
I do. For September 8th, Friday. Wait, I'm wrong. I'm on the wrong page. Get on the right page, Shannon. The Friday, September 7th at Beer City Studios in Van Nuys.
What's up?
It's Endless Bummer 2. With the Lungs and Total Massacre.
It's the Endless Bummer. Yeah.
Endless Bummer 2.
Sorry.
With the Lungs and Total Massacre. What's up?
You know, there was 2 of them.
There was.
Well, it's a takeoff of the Endless Summer, and yes, there were 2 Endless Summer movies. There was 1 and 2. So this is the Endless Bummer 2 with the Lungs and Total Massacre. I'm stoked.
Wait, Endless Summer, what is that?
Bummer. How do you have a second
Isn't that
bummer?
some
if the first
cheesy...
One, well, how do you have a second bummer if the first one was endless? When did you have time to start the second one? I don't
It should be times 2 for never mind. Okay, it starts at 8 p.m. and it's free, and it's bring your own beer.
Get out!
Up after your damn self. There's something about parking too. I'll share the. I've shared it, but I'll share it again. There's a few other bands playing too.
Awesome.
And awesome. I'm going.
Hey, that's even more awesome.
I'm going to be there. I'm going to drive from here to Van Nuys, you guys.
Fucking
wow, that's a drive.
On a Friday.
Dude, Total Massacre is worth it. And you can find out how they were able to start a second bummer when the first one was endless. If you could find out.
I'm just going to need to know where the restroom is as soon as I walk in the joint.
It just sounds like a big celebration that Captain No Fun came up with. That's what it sounds like to me.
Doesn't it? That's got Captain No Fun written all over it.
It sure does, man.
It's going to be fun. I'm going to bring the kid.
No fun.
Coolness.
Whether he likes it or not. Okay. The same day. Oh, no, not the same day. Saturday, September 8th. Now I'm on September 8th. At 8 a.m., Rise Los Angeles for Climate, Jobs, and Justice. In solidarity with San Francisco and statewide actions. This is put on by So-Cal 350 and joined together with 9 other community organization and activist groups. I'm not sure if this is national or just state, California. But it's a public demonstration calling for unwavering statewide commitment to no permits for oil or gas drilling of fossil fuel and fossil fuel infrastructure. I think I left a couple words out of my sentence. Sorry. So this, I know they're having one in San Francisco. And I know on the page it did mention country, but then here it says statewide, so I'm not positive on that. But I've seen at least 3. I don't know where, I think the other one may have been in San Diego. So that's 8 a.m. in Los Angeles. It didn't say the exact location. It's 801 West 23rd Street. I almost think that's like, is that some government? I don't know.
Who knows?
I'll share it. Also Saturday the 8th in Santa Ana at Delhi Center. It's Resistance Boot Camp and Volunteer Fair, Orange County. It starts at noon. It's a coalition of candidates and activist groups. They'll give presentations, there'll be training, inspirational stuff, and actions. It's Imagine, Action OC, and 12 other groups.
Wow.
That's 505 East Central Avenue, Delhi Center, Santa Ana. At 12 noon, not 8 a.m., Shannon. That was the last one. Same day, or it's in the evening, Saturday, in Los Angeles at the Egyptian Theater, 7:30 p.m., the Blues Brothers in 35 millimeter.
What?
With an intro by John Landis.
Oh, wow.
Get out.
And it's a tribute to Aretha Franklin.
Oh, wow.
Oh, right on.
That's pretty cool.
Yes,
that will be the
cool.
second one of those things I'm missing.
And you know what? They hate Illinois Nazis.
They do.
Don't they, though?
Probably Indiana ones, too. There were only, what, maybe 20 of those? Oh, those were KKK, straight up. KKK dudes, never mind. They hate them, too. They're almost one and the same. There's slight differences. And then finally, Sunday, September 9th at 10 a.m., and this isn't...
That's
this
the
is
Sunday.
the Central Valley, but I want to give a shout out to Fatty Cakes and the puff pastries again. This is Give Nature a Hug, Pick Up Trash, and Show Love. That's the name of the event. It's at the it's a San Joaquin River cleanup. That's where it's at. The streets are Palm and Knees. Nees, not knees. And it's not just an action. They said they will provide leather gloves, but if you have your own, if you could bring your own, they're providing trash bags. But it's bring your own whatever and pack it in, pack it out, pick up your shit, people.
Leave no trace.
Yeah, there's 5 or 6 bands playing. And they're playing too. So it's an action, but it's also free music.
Fucking cool.
All day.
That was a fantastic report, Shannon.
Why, thank you.
You know what we should do now?
And wait a minute. And if I'm not mistaken, let's back up just a second. Fatty Cakes and the Puff Pastries are playing that show, right?
Yes, they go. I can't remember. It's 2:30, something like that. It lists the times and the bands playing on the flyer.
Oh, fantastic.
Cool. So, yep, they're playing.
You know what we should do now? We should talk shit about this Brett Kavanaugh dude.
Oh my God, you're gonna get me pissed off. Okay.
Okay, so but before we do, I got a little video I put together. It's got a little bit of some stuff from Media Matters, and then a little footage that I shot at a recent Northern Nevada demonstration against Brett Kavanaugh and Dean Heller and Adam Laxalt, which are far right-wing Trump sycophants running here in Northern Nevada. So let's play that clip, and then we'll come back and shoot shit about Kavanaugh. What do you say, guys?
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Have seen headlines suggesting that the left isn't engaged in the fight to block Brett Kavanaugh's appointment to the Supreme Court, but that's all wrong. All across the United States, energized activists are rallying to keep Kavanaugh off the court.
So now is the time that we have to organize, and now is the time that we have to come together.
There have been thousands of events that have been held around the country.
Up in Augusta, we held a rally with 20 other partner groups.
Working women will stop Kavanaugh because we know how high the stakes are.
The way that a Supreme Court justice shapes American life for decades is the equivalent of football fields, millions of football fields of individual voices.
We could be losing our bodily autonomy.
Many in this crowd fear he will move to end Roe v. Wade and criminalize abortion.
This is a person who absolutely believes in the imperial presidency.
I already see the devastating consequences of what happens when there isn't access to safe legal abortion.
Kavanaugh is tilting the scale of liberty in favor of the rich and the wealthy.
Donald Trump wants to replace the lone swing justice on the Supreme Court with a far-right extremist.
In some of Kavanaugh's workers' rights cases, his opinions against undocumented individuals in those cases really speaks to what we could see from him as a Supreme Court justice.
Anyone who this is impacting, they are concerned and fired up about this fight.
Kavanaugh's confirmation isn't inevitable. He's got the lowest approval ratings of any Supreme Court nominee in decades, in addition to an extreme record on a number of important topics. The hearings to confirm Kavanaugh start soon, and media shouldn't erase the very real opposition to Kavanaugh's confirmation that's happening across the country.
Stop Kavanaugh! When do we want it? Now! When do we want it? Now!
I think it's all very important with Kellyanne Conway here today that Trump hears us. We are not accepting Brett Kavanaugh's appointment to the Supreme Court. Hell no! Hell no, right? Cases in the district courts right now that would prohibit or ban abortions for women. And we know that Brett Kavanaugh is not going to rule in our favor. So thank you for being on the right side of history today and joining us here and getting fired up to make sure that Laxalt never sees office and that Dean Heller is out of there, to heck with Heller, and that we make sure that Brett Kavanaugh is never confirmed as a Supreme Court justice.
Yeah.
So, thanks for coming.
Okay, so for our listeners who don't know who Dean Heller and Adam Laxalt are, these are Dean Heller is a senator from Nevada, and he is just a Trump slave. He's a brain slave of the Cheeto. Okay, and Laxalt is running for governor, and he is totally sold out. Hangs out with CoreCivic. I mean, the dude is the worst of the worst. And just for the record, Mike, today up in Virginia City, a faction of Laxalt supporters came out and marched in the Labor Day thing, and I didn't get video of it, but I gave him a bunch of shit. I flipped them off. I'm like, you fuck Laxalt. Laxalt is the enemy of labor. You people have no right marching in a Labor Day parade. Adam Laxalt hangs out with CoreCivic lobbyists, and he's totally sold out to corporate lobbyists. He doesn't give a shit about labor.
Sounds like Trump's cabinet. Sounds like all of Trump's cabinet.
Yeah. And Dean Heller has totally, Trump loves Dean Heller. Dean Heller loves Trump, and so
wasn't Heller in trouble for something not too long ago?
Probably, but not that I remember. There was another right winger, and I can't think of his name. Not too long ago, I think you probably might be thinking of, who had some shady campaign, did stuff with his campaign funds, and had to step down like a year or two, like 2 years ago. So maybe that's what you're thinking of.
Maybe. Hey, it's Nevada. Do what we want.
But but let's talk about Brett Kavanaugh, though, right? Jeez. I mean,
do you know a little bit about him, like his history?
Not a whole lot. You said you found out something about him that you found fascinating?
Well, he was appointed by Bush #2 to the U.S. Court of Appeals. Before that, he was involved somehow with a 98 Star report You know, the Clinton impeachment.
Mm-hmm. That's right. He worked with Kenneth Starr.
And his beginnings, I forget. He went to Ivy League. I can't remember. Anyway, that doesn't really freaking matter. Before that, he was the chair of, listen to this, it's very long, the Federalists. Oh my God, what is this? It's Federalist Securities Religious Liberties Practice Group.
God.
It was a group of lawyers, I'm assuming, but because he's a lawyer. But I'm like, what's
sitting around thinking?
No, Society's Religious Liberties. Federalist Society's Religious Liberties.
Which is just Orwell speak for
conservatives and libertarians.
Yeah, Christian fascist lawyers.
Libertarians.
Yeah.
And their main thing was, here we go, traditional values.
Yeah.
Fucking Reagan.
Yeah.
Remember that whole...
Family values.
Family values, man, yeah.
I wrote a punk rock song called Family Values.
Kavanaugh with his connection to Kenneth Starr, he's completely flopped because at that time he talked about, he wanted to ask there's a whole litany of questions that he proposed to be asked of Clinton about, asked of Monica Lewinsky about how many times President ejaculated in her mouth, how many times he got an erection here, he ejaculated in a trash can, all this stuff that he wanted to do to bring down President Clinton. But the reason
fucking perv.
Totally. And if I'm telling you now,
this was abuse of power.
Yeah.
But she didn't say no.
Right.
Okay, she was willing. There's a fucking difference. It's not rape like the current guy that he applauds, right? So he's a conservative, right?
And the other
he believes in family values, right?
And the other part
wanted to impeach him for
family values, like cheating on his old lady while she's pregnant.
It wasn't right, but it wasn't rape.
Fucking porn stars.
But where Kavanaugh has flipped is one of the reasons that Trump likes him is now he's pushing this legal narrative that you can't indict a sitting president. He's even gone so far as about not impeaching him and all this kind of stuff. So even though Kavanaugh was happy to do, to try and bring down and impeach Clinton over arguably a fraction of what Trump is being accused of, right? But now, you can't go after Trump for anything, and that's why Trump wants him in there. And he knows it. This Kavanaugh cat, he knows it. He knows that's how he could get on the Supreme Court. So he's an unscrupulous fucking scumbag who will do anything to get into that court.
Sounds just like Cittadini.
And do anything to control people.
Right. That's right.
Power.
Women's rights, LGBTQI.
That's right.
It's
taking away our power. Let's talk about Merrick Garland for a fucking second. Right. You remember that dude? The dude that the GOP fucking stole?
Yeah.
They stole this fucking seat. That's the bottom line.
Well, they stole the last seat.
That's true. They stole the last seat.
This
guy that's retiring right now, because of he's retiring because they might bring him up on insider trading. Yeah, just like the week before he retired, insider trading. So he's like, I'll just go ahead and step down. This is bullshit.
And he had meetings with Trump.
Ruth probably feels like she can never die. I totally know that feeling.
And he had meetings with Trump prior to Trump taking office, and so there's speculation. Obviously, we don't have proof, but there's speculation that this was pre-planned, that Trump knew this was going to happen, and he was going to have this pick, and it's just
they got all these think tanks. You don't think Trump didn't have think tanks for a while before? I mean,
I don't think he can think.
He's not as well. No, he had think tanks. He's not as stupid.
I would
think
say,
tanks thinking for him.
Shannon, I would say it like this: that
he's a capitalist.
The think tanks
knows how to do shit like that.
The think tanks, of course, are out there. The Rand Corporation and Brookings Institute and all these different, various think tanks. They're out there chugging out their stuff, and then they just hand it to Trump. So it's not that necessarily Trump has think tanks. It's that he'll listen to whatever the right
Right.
think tank, and these are far-right propagandists is what these think tanks for the most part. There's righteous think tanks out there that organize for the purpose of like getting really, really smart, educated people together to think about things and come up with solutions. But most of the biggest think tanks that are like influencing our government have nothing to do with any of that. It's how do we keep capitalism chugging along and keep power consolidated and
them. They attack unions. They've been attacking. My union is only 5 or 6 years old. Seriously.
So I really just want to stress to anybody who's listening, if you hear about any types of demonstrations against Kavanaugh, and if you're into it, look, I'm not a big electoral politics guy, but I'm okay with calling your senator and letting them know that you don't want them to confirm this Kavanaugh guy. Because he's young, and it'll be generation, and a generation. Any means, a generation.
Call, write, go out and protest, actions, go. We should be protesting. We can find out where he lives and that kind of stuff. We need to be doing that crap too.
So So hey, though, Mike.
Yo.
There was an exciting occurrence on the island, and that almost happened, right? It almost was terrible.
Yeah, it's the hurricane. It's the hurricane that didn't happen.
Yes.
It was crazy around here for a couple of days, though, bro. I mean, like I don't know if I mentioned it to you last week. I went to the market just to do my regular grocery shopping, and people were walking out with like bags of bottled water and bags of rice and boxes of Spam, and I'm like, oh shit. I've never seen hurricane preparedness like this before, and people were kind of, they took it super seriously. So, and then,
Well, let's. You put together a kind of a video montage. It doesn't have any sound. We can talk over it, but you were cruising around the area and kind of got us a little bit of the sights and not sounds of the not hurricane, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, my earphones broke off. The earphone piece broke off in my phone, so I have it doesn't record any sound at all. So you have to listen to me narrate it. But
let's play it. Let's play that now, and you explain what the hell.
And Shannon, make sure your kitty's here so she can watch it too. Okay.
It's
Milo. Milo. Okay, so here you go. This is how we do hurricanes on the North Shore. I mean, come on, man. I actually took my bike and went for a little bike ride, and this is the first thing I get when I get down to the corner of my street. Are these little kids playing in the puddle, man? And I'm like, oh, I got to get this.
That is one of the most terrifying images I think I've ever seen.
How bad it is, right? So, okay, this here is the little river that runs behind my house that I was a little concerned about overflowing. Gotcha. And then, this is Waialua Beach Road, and then across the street, that's looking towards the beach there. That river kind of makes it towards the beach, kind of doesn't. It's hard to tell. I mean, it kind of fizzles out, and you'll see it in a little while. But,
So you did get water in the...
It rained for about a half an hour. Honestly, it rained for about a half an hour. Apparently what happened, Shannon, is as the hurricane started heading up towards the islands, it hit our trade wind pattern, and the trade wind pattern is up high. So, it hit those winds aloft, and it sheared the top of the hurricane off. And when it did that, the bottom part of it spun out one way, and the top of it spun out the other way. And the top of it actually kind of hit our island a little bit, kind of hit Oahu, and we had about 45, 50 mile an hour winds. Look, there's more kids jumping and playing in the puddle there.
Michael, I have to stop you because everything you just said isn't true. Because I was watching InfoWars, and so apparently there's factual proof that, get this is what Alex Jones said, is that John Kerry shot an energy beam into the hurricane, which split it in two.
Why Hawaii?
Now, I just want you to know that I'm not making that up. This is from
InfoWars. I'm just curious why
InfoWars.
John Kerry would pick Hawaii
maybe
anywhere in the world.
Obama was there. I don't know. That's really kind of weird.
You know how? Well, listen. This is all verifiable, okay? Because John Kerry was in Hawaii 2 years ago.
Oh, well, there you go.
So I mean,
Wow.
Alice Jones does the hard-hitting reports that.
Science just does not exist in these people's world.
But it's not verifiable that Obama was born there because you couldn't find that out. There's no fucking way you could find out
But the
that
John
someone
Kerry
was born
energy
somewhere.
Beam, the John Kerry energy beam, bam, no problem. I mean, that is locked in factual shit.
Okay, so like this is kind of where this little stream ends, right here at the beach.
Mm-hmm.
I go and hang out at this beach sometimes. It's kind of cool. It's
Is that where I
closest
see
to
the
house.
picture of your feet all the time, Michael?
Not that one, but there's other ones. Sometimes this one. It depends. This is where I go do my wake and bake sometimes. So that's looking out towards Kind of Point. That's a little place we kind of.
Well, wait, it's not wake and bake if you go out there. Sorry. You're
I'm
supposed to
drinking
wake
my
up and
coffee.
do it.
So check
Sorry.
out the huge waves on North Shore. Okay, huge ankle slapping waves.
Thank you, John Kerry, for your energy beam.
Right. Yeah, but apparently, dude, the wind did hit because my pools were trashed, especially the ones up on Pupukea. I was talking to this big wave surfer guy I know, Ken Bradshaw, do his pool, and he was telling me that he had 45, 50 mile an hour winds through there. In fact, his neighbor's tree fell on his garage, and he was having the roof replaced when I was over there on Thursday. So we did get a little bit of wind. I didn't happen to get any on, in my side of the island.
But people were really taking this fucking seriously on the island, right, Mike?
Oh, people yeah, no, they actually
Well,
did.
it's serious.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it looked
It's
like
just
it was
lucky that what happened.
Yeah, no, it actually was.
But you said there was lines around the stores, and
Dude, there were lines at the gas station. People getting. I heard. This is actually looking back towards my house and up towards the mountains. There were lines at the gas station, like at Costco, and I heard like somebody got in a fight. Couple ladies started like fighting over gas, and it's like, dude, chill. It's fucking gas. I happened to like roll through the gas station that I go through here in town, and there was nobody there, and I'm like, okay. So I pulled up and filled up my tank, and I'm like, probably not a bad idea to do that right now. So I filled up my tank real quick and had plenty of gas. I did buy me a bag of rice, 10, 20-pound bag of rice. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. You can't cook rice without electricity around here. There's no propane, there's no gas, stoves, everything's electricity. So without electricity, I don't know how I was going to cook rice, but
That's why you're supposed to have one of those little portable propane stove or hibachi type things.
Okay, so check this out.
I know, because I live in an RV and fires and stuff. And you never know.
This is Short
and
Bridge.
They cut electricity.
All right, and I came down here to check to see if the water was brown, because the water will turn like reddish brown from the runoff in the mountains, and it's kind of brown now, but it's not like the reddish brown. Mm-hmm. And this lady I was asking her, they fish here all the time, and they're out there fishing, doing their thing, waiting for the hurricane to come, right? And I'm like, well, what are you guys fishing for? I guess they fish for crab. But she was telling me, so Filipino lady was telling me about the typhoon she was through in the Philippines.
Oh, yeah.
That's looking across to the river, going out towards the beach there. But they come there all the time, crab fishing, man. I mean, they hang out there at the bridge and drink and party and fish. And it's just like, I always see people leaning over the bridge fishing, man. I know.
I was in Boracay, and there was one. I don't know why I didn't know, but I just have to be honest. I was drunk, and so we were in a bar, and next thing I know, well, first off, in the middle of the typhoon, there's a bar fight that came from a bar like down the street.
It gets stressful, man.
Across the way, and it was like 30, 40 fucking people fighting. It was like 2 people fighting, but 30, people surrounding them. And then they all of a sudden they come into our bar because of the typhoon, but they're still fighting. The bartender pulled me over the bar. Like it's almost like underground, like because it's so common. And then it passes, and everybody just goes outside like normal. Like they just push the people fighting back outside. I'm just like, it's just normal. It's weird. I was terrified.
It's bizarre, isn't it? Okay, so check this out. This is Long Bridge. There's actually people that live underneath this bridge and right around this bridge. And I came down here to check it out, and you can see the water's moving super fast. And it's, it's still not red from the runoff. So
A houseless community, or?
Yes, a houseless community. Yes.
Well, I don't know.
This is just on the bike trail headed back to.
Well, it's like the LA River in the winter, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Same thing.
Yeah, this is over by the shore bridge again.
I'm just so happy John Kerry shot that thing. I want to know. I mean, did he do it in conjunction with HARP or?
No, FEMA.
It's a FEMA thing? I think it's a HARP thing. Yeah. I think it's a HARP because HARP is what.
Well, why didn't he do something about Harvey and?
Oh, see, check it out. There's the sugar mill.
What was Puerto Rico was Harvey, right?
Probably because QAnon hadn't given him the proper breadcrumbs to figure it out, and you know.
Okay, so Aaron, check this out. This is this puddle by my house, right? And I kept trying to get people to splash through it, and the people would not go through. I'm like, come on, man.
They're all going around it.
I know, right? Wait, this guy, I was like, come on, dude. He had his window down. I'm like, come on, go fast.
He's almost ready to. Okay.
No, wait. I finally got like I think it's this dude. Yeah, he plowed through it. Thanks, man. That was my
Michael,
fun there.
I love that you're 4.
That's not fun. People used to do that shit. Santa Ana floods, and they would do that shit on purpose. I'm walking to school. That happened more than once. That is the most fucked up thing, man.
You could just be completely drenched.
That's assholes. Good stuff, man. Anyway, so yeah, there's your little hurricane that didn't happen on North Shore.
Thanks to John Kerry.
Welcome to my world. Thanks, John Kerry. Appreciate that.
Hey, fucking great show. But before we get out of here, I want to, we played that Shook Ups video early on in the show. There's also a full live show of the Shook Ups that's up on the channel right now. If anybody liked that video, you can see a full live set from us. And then there's that studio track is in that video as well, and then a second studio track for the song Widow is there. So it's like a cool 20-minute video with some live footage and some studio tracks, and so that's up. It's the newest addition to the P4P archive because it was from 2002, bro, is when I was in that band.
You're old.
Wow, dude.
And so look for that P4P archive, the Shook Ups, and
yeah, for sure.
And keep an eye out. We got Bobby O's putting a report together for us on some goings on in the East Coast stuff and far right wing nonsense that he's witnessing out on that end. So he's putting together a cool video for that for our channel. And then I will, again, like I said earlier in the show, be putting together the full report on what's up with Virginia City and all that stuff. And so look for that. And
wait! I want to plug the Toasters September 8th, this Saturday night at Anna O'Brien's in Honolulu.
Excellent.
And your microphone's broke?
Yeah, so I'll have to figure out how I can.
Yeah. And Fatty Cakes has a release date in November. I think it says it on the video.
So hey, I fucking love you guys.
I fucking love you guys too, man. That was an awesome report. I'm so stoked that we've got Radd Kahn joining us and Bobby O.
Excellent report from Radd Kahn. Yes, thank you, Radd Kahn. And I can't wait to hear further developments on what's going on with this Brazilian fascist bullshit. And
I have an aunt that lives in Brazil because, she's Brazilian.
That would make sense. Make sure you like and subscribe things and share our videos, and then make sure you
and thanks for sharing.
And laugh at yourself daily.
Like and share stuff on Facebook.
Thank you for sharing our stuff on Facebook.
Yes, thank you very much.
All of you that do, and all you rad, awesome people that comment regularly. We have such really cool people following our page and saying really righteous stuff and holding us in check when we, sometimes we share things that, are a little off, and they're like, hey, did you know that this happened, actually? And we're like, oh, shit, thank you. And, we really have, and the trolling seems to be going down some.
Well, that's organizing, isn't it?
Yep, I think so. I think so. We're keeping the trolls out, and so just thank you to everyone out there that's supporting us, man. You guys are awesome. And
being part of Punks for Progress.
Fucking A. You're a punk for progress, too.
Bunch of punks.
Yep.
All right, you guys.
Later.
Love you.
Love ya.
Neighbor, welcome again to this neighborhood. I'd like to show you something. You know what this is? Maybe if I press this button. This is a cassette player with a little cassette in here, and there's nothing written on it, so we'll just have to play it to see what it is. Do you ever imagine things? Are they scary things? Are they scary things? Do you ever imagine things? Things you'd like to have? Did you ever see a cat's eyes in the dark and wonder what they were? Did you ever pretend about things like that before? Did you ever pretend about things like that? Did you ever grow anything in the garden of your mind? In the garden of your mind. You can grow ideas in the garden of your mind. In the garden of your mind. It's good to be curious about many things. You can think about things and make believe. All you have to do is think and they'll grow. Imagine every person that you see is somewhat different from every other person in the world. Some can do some things, some can do others. Did you ever think of the many things you've learned to do? Many things you've learned. Did you ever grow anything in the garden of your mind? You can grow ideas in the garden of your mind. In the garden of your mind. It's good to be curious about many things. You can think about things and make believe. All you have to do is think and they'll grow. Did you feel like going like that? Let's give the fish some food. Mr. McFeely, I didn't order any whistles. That's what they call a slide whistle. Did you feel like going like that? There are so many things to learn about in this world. And so many people who can help us learn. And so many people who can help us learn. Did you ever grow anything in the garden of your mind? In the garden of your mind. You can grow ideas in the garden of your mind. In the garden of your mind. It's good to be curious about many things. You can think about things and make believe. All you have to do is think. You can think about things and make believe. All you have to do is think, and they'll grow.